When Life is Strange Double Exposure released in fall 2024 to a critically contentious reception, a fierce fan backlash, and commercially disastrous sales, it really felt like the Life is Strange franchise had finally died. Not with a cry, but with a whimper. But then, something unexpected happened. In 2025, Square Enix quietly hosted a series of focus groups, bringing together longtime fans to discuss what had gone wrong, and more importantly, what they still loved about the series. Behind closed doors, the conversations reportedly centered less on sales figures and more on identity. The atmosphere, intimacy, music, and emotional sincerity that had once made Life is Strange feel so uniquely personal. Then, in early 2026, rumors of a new project began circulating after an unannounced Life is Strange title briefly appeared on the PEGI ratings website before quickly being removed. What initially seemed like another fake leak was confirmed only weeks later when Square Enix officially unveiled Life is Strange Reunion during a low-key online showcase, shocking fans with a release date just 2 months away. After months of uncertainty, the series had seemingly returned overnight. And the most shocking and enticing news of all, Reunion wouldn't just bring back beloved fan favorite Chloe Price, it would place her front and center as a co-lead alongside Max Caulfield. And many fans were hella excited. And although the game is a substantial improvement over its predecessor, featuring impressive characterization and genuinely heartfelt story beats between its legacy characters, its lukewarm critical reception and unfortunately weak commercial performance still failed to recapture the acclaim this series had once enjoyed. So today, we will be examining the lackluster legacy of Life is Strange Reunion.
I just wanna feel something different.
Now, Life is Strange Reunion starts with a recap of the first game as well as Double Exposure, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to assume that we're all caught up and on the same page here, and I'm going to... Right, and now we get to choose options that we chose from the first game as well as Double Exposure. This will have varying degrees of consequences on how things play out in this game, although not all of the choices you make on this page will matter as much as you might hope, especially in regards to the romance, and we will definitely be digging into that today.
Asking her to get the fuck out of there, okay?
I don't know how. Maybe... Hold on. Maybe try reminding her that a drum machine doesn't take up half the van and smell like ass after the gig. 20 minutes? Yeah. Okay. I can make that work.
Our game opens on Chloe Price, who fans all know and love from Double Exposure. Yeah, I thought that one up the first day that I played the game, and I've been holding on to that since, so hope you appreciate it. Listen, we all know the status quo. I'm not going to harp on too much about this, but we know that Chloe was absent from Double Exposure. We know that most people, including me, weren't really a fan of that, and we know that they added Chloe into this game as a form of fan service. Fan service is not always so bad, and I am, truthfully, delighted to see Chloe here. Look at her. I mean, just look at her. She looks awesome. She looks cool. She looks grown up. I love her green hair. I am immediately sat, and I am so happy to see her on screen again. I also think Reaume DeVries does a bang-up job as Chloe in this game. She did a very good job in Before the Storm too, and I think both her and Hannah Tell's acting are absolutely some of the best parts of this game. So in Reunion, we see that Chloe is now the band manager for Drugstore Makeup. Those who've played True Colors will remember that Drugstore Makeup is the band that Steph started with her now ex. I think this is a pretty neat bit of continuity, keeping things in universe. It makes me really happy to see this game actually has a couple True Colors references differences. But whether you chose that Chloe lived or Chloe died at the end of the first game, this game will open up the same, as Chloe is suffering these nightmares that she's not really sure are real or not. We see her transported to the bathroom from Blackwell Academy, but the bathroom is also partly outside and also has the fireplace from Max's lodgings. Chloe has been experiencing these vivid nightmares, which are some sort of liminal spaces combining aspects of both Chloe and Max's world.
Not again. It keeps getting worse. But I just need to find the way out. Assuming there is one.
As Chloe climbs up the trail, we can see different interactive objects, most of them from double exposure, including the gun that both Sophie and Max used, Max's Polaroid camera, and a headstone that lists both Chloe's father as well as her mother, although where it says Joyce, it also keeps switching back and forth between Joyce and Chloe. As the audience member, we immediately understand what's happening here. Both Bay and Bay, both versions of the ending of the first game, have merged, and this Chloe is living both experiences at once, though she doesn't fully understand that. All things considered, if they were gonna bring Chloe back, I mean, double exposure was already a mess to the canon, but all things considered, I actually like this. I think this mostly works. As a general idea, I support it. The actual execution of it, though, it does and it doesn't work in certain places. I do think this opening scene works very well, though. Chloe walking up to her own body, the version of her that died in the washroom, that is freaky and eerie, and I love how they've done this liminal space. So we have both the observatory outlook from Caledon University, as well as the lighthouse from Arcadia Bay. We have both Chloe's body from when she died in the washroom, as well as Sophie's body from when she was shot by, I guess she was shot by Max. That's a sticking point that this game actually does offer an alternate explanation for who shot Sophie. We'll get there when we get there, but Chloe looks up to the lighthouse and she sees none other than Max. I really like the way they did this, because at first it looks like Max is taking a photo of her. Then, once Chloe's body turns into Sophie's, Max is approaching them not with a camera, but with a gun. And then Chloe snaps out of it. Gotta say, pretty good way to start off this game. I am sat. I also think the cinematography of the Overlook was very well done. Like I said in my review of Double Exposure, I think that game had pretty good cinematography. I think that continues in this game, though on a smaller scale. This is something you're going to hear me talk a lot about in this game, is how much of a smaller scale this game operates on. This game was made with a significantly smaller team, and we will keep that in mind as we go through this game together. Our first scene with Max, as well as the official title crawl, opens on a song by Girl in Red, an artist that I absolutely love. And oh, do I wish how I could play it for you, but copyright being what it is, I cannot. So instead, I'm going to play you the copyright-free version. Something really great about this game that Double Exposure did not have was the option to substitute licensed music. For anyone else who is a creator or a streamer, anything like that, you know how much of a lifesaver this thing is. And I cannot say enough thank you to the people at Deck 9 and Square Enix who made a substitute licensed music option for this game for a lot of reasons. Not only because it helps me avoid copyright, but because some of the alternate versions I actually like better than the songs they chose for this game. And we will be talking about that, especially about a certain iconic scene that uses a certain iconic song or two.
Wow. How long was I gone on this trip? 3 days? Somehow it still feels good to come home to Vermont.
Max is returning to Caledon after a weekend gallery showing in Seattle that was apparently very successful. Max is feeling very good. After all the turmoil and insanity at Caledon last year, things are finally starting to turn around for our everyday hero. We get a peek inside her luggage, including a look at her new diary, which is somehow even worse and more graphically shitty than Double Exposure. I know I already roasted the shit out of this in my roast, so I'm gonna move on, even though mentally I'm thinking about it all the time. Also, the music that plays during the pause menu or when you're looking through your journals or texts is very, very pretty and immediately reminded me very specifically of this one segment from What Remains of Edith Finch when it shows you Sam's death.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn.
You hear it?
The selfie I took just before this trip. I think I knew I'd want to hold on to this moment.
This selfie is going to play great importance for the entire plot of this game, but that's not really why I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because doesn't Max look so good? She looks so good. She looks so cute. Look at her. This has got to be the best selfie she's ever taken. They chose a really good selfie to hinge the plot of this game on. It must be said. So the player as Max takes a photo of the sunset, and whenever you take a photo in this game, you get to look at it with this background. It looks very cheap to me. It's giving Lisa Frank 5th grade realness. Max then receives a text from Moses telling her that there is some sort of an attack going down on campus, so Max immediately books it, and when she arrives, she sees this.
The Abraxas logo. Killers. What does all this mean?
Some sort of revolt or protest about the Abraxas Society has gone down. It says no demolition, it says killers. Clearly some crazy shit has gone down.
Loretta's march? What does Loretta have to do with all of this?
Students are trapped inside multiple buildings and burning alive, and there is nothing that Max can do. Does she use her rewind powers here? No. Why? I don't know. There's this explanation in a few minutes that Max has given up on learned not to use her powers, or doesn't want to use her powers, or is too afraid to use them or something. I don't know. Let me just cut to the chase. She doesn't use her powers because we have to have a whole plot about how she uses her powers to try and prevent this situation. She doesn't use them to try and prevent the situation here right now while it's actively happening, but she will for the rest of the game. It's just one of those stupid conceits. It's just one of those illogical fallacies that Deck 9 loves. It's one of those don't think too deeply about it. Just enjoy the drama of Max going through a building as people are dying, but she doesn't even instinctively think to use her powers, I guess.
The whole campus is burning. This is so horrible.
Max looks up and sees Moses on the rooftop of the observatory, and it's burning down, and he's holding somebody. We clearly know that this is Chloe, but Max doesn't know that it's Chloe yet. A giant explosion blows her away into safety. This is one of my favorite stupid media tropes ever, where the explosion somehow blows the person away from the explosion and into safety instead of catching all of her skin and hair on fire. But she reaches for that gorgeous selfie that she took earlier, and now and only now, she finally decides to use her powers, and poof, she goes back to the observatory outlook where she took this photo of herself on Friday before all this craziness began.
No smoke. No screams. I did it. Oh God, I did it. I jumped into a photo again.
And then Max sits, and we have one of our very few moments of reflection in this game.
It's Friday. The fire started Sunday evening. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have come back. Maybe I'll just fuck everything up. But maybe I can't fuck it up any more than it already was.
Now, when I played this game for a second time, I used disable copyright music throughout my entire second gameplay, so I had to double check it when this scene started, because this scene plays the song I Just Want to Feel by Tessa Rose Jackson, which was created for this game, and I was delighted to find out that all of the Tessa Rose Jackson songs are copyright cleared, meaning that I can play you the actual song with the moment of reflection without getting struck the fuck down by YouTube. Huge W for Deck 9 and Square Enix. It is so perfect that we finally have a Life is Strange game where we can actually hear some of the original songs without them being copyright struck.
I just wanna feel something different. I just wanna feel something that's not so damn persistent.
Oh my god.
Max looks again at her selfie and sees that it actually has a double exposure of the fire that's going to happen on Sunday. Though it's a little hard to tell because they didn't do a great job with the graphics for this one. This double exposure Polaroid is going to change throughout the game and give Max different insight into whether or not the fire looks like it is or isn't happening. But I swear to fucking God, the Polaroid looks the same throughout the entire game. But people keep making comments about how the fire looks bigger or smaller in the photo sometimes, and it just doesn't. I feel pretty positive this is just an unfinished piece of key art where the photo was supposed to change and shift, but they just didn't get there. It really is full stop the same photo throughout the entire game, but people keep commenting on how it's changing with the past and the future, but it isn't. So Max makes her way to the observatory to go see Moses, but before she reaches his office, she notices a flyer for a podcast that Loretta is doing about the Abraxas Society. Life is Strange Reunion has 9 different findable podcast flyers, all of which engage what is essentially a moment of reflection, but rather than music playing, Max or Chloe will sit and listen to a podcast which offers us insight into the world, featuring various characters from around Caledon.
Welcome back to Abraxcast, Caledon's only podcast dedicated to uncovering the hidden underbelly of the Abraxas Society.
Now, potentially hot take, but I like the podcasts, and believe me, it's a surprise to me too, because IRL, I do not like podcasts. I am thoroughly anti-podcast. I think that celebrity podcasts and manosphere podcasts and murder podcasts are nothing but a drain on society these days, and yet I do like how they're done here. Now, I actually conducted a poll on my channel because I really wanted to take the temperature with the fandom on this one about how everyone felt about the podcasts, and I was not totally surprised to find that the majority of people agreed that they liked them. Liked, not loved. And a minority hated them, but the majority of people, when you look at the poll, more or less thought they were decent, thought they were acceptable. I think they work as a fairly natural form of exposition. Perhaps some people feel like it's forced exposition. I actually think it natively works. Podcasts conducted by students and staff at a university, that's actually kind of a clever piece of world building. When Max reaches Moses's office, she finds that he is being glazed by Owen. Owen Teller is the new president of the school. He is Fayad's replacement, although she's here too in another. I don't really get it. I don't know. Instead of one annoying head of a school that has this adversarial role in the game, now there's 2 of them. And on top of it, he also hates Max. He wants to cut the arts. He is big old mean man with the corporate interests who wants to cut arts to the art school. You've heard this before. You've seen it before. He's generic white business dude villain, and he is here to... Actually, I'm not really sure what he's here to do in this game, if I'm really totally being honest. Because we're also going to have Yasmin in the mix, and her story, if anything, has importance in this one. But Owen is here, and I guess all you really need to know about him in this scene is he hates Max.
It's not that I doubt your talent, Max. You're just a beneficiary of her short-sightedness. I mean, Professor, an instructor with no teaching experience or terminal degree living rent-free in the house that was once reserved for visiting luminaries? It's like, how was this allowed to happen?
Wow. I do not remember this conversation being such a disaster.
So this line really tripped me up the first time that I played the game because I don't know, it screwed with my brain because we as the player haven't had this conversation before, and it just hit weird and took me a few seconds to realize what's happening is Max has rewinded to the Friday. The game started on Sunday and she went back in time and she's redoing everything but differently, but we the audience didn't see her do it the first time. Unlike the first game, where Max does stuff and then you rewind and then you do it again and you make different choices, Max is starting off this game by going back to a Friday that we, the players, didn't see. So we don't really know what this conversation with Owen was like the first time. And that's just weird. It just feels like one of those weird rushed elements of the story where the game is about Max going back in time, but we didn't even see how she did it the first time. We know that she was there on Friday and then she went to the art gallery for the weekend, but it's just strange for Max to have that internal dialogue. It almost like draws attention to how odd that is for the player, that Max is rewinding on this event, but we didn't even get to experience the first time. And Max is unhappy with how the conversation is going a second time, but we're also not even given options to do anything differently than how she did it the first time. It's passive. Whereas in the first game, Max would go back and then we would make different choices. Not only did we not see Max do this day the first time, but in this scene, we also don't have any options for her to do anything. So it just, do I sound nuts, or is it just weird? I feel like as the player, I'm just sort of watching her do rewind stuff sometimes than actually playing it itself. What was the point of Max pointing out that she's had this conversation before when the player most certainly hasn't? Anyways, now that Max is done having a conversation for the second time where I guess she made 100% of the same choices that she did the first time around, Max makes Moses aware of the situation. Also, here's the writer's brilliant bulletproof explanation for why Max didn't use her rewind powers when the fire was happening.
Before you came back here through the photo, did you try to rewind in the fire?
Oh my god. I didn't even think to.
Hey, you were in shock. It's understandable.
Yup, there you have it. I guess she just kind of forgot that she has magical rewind powers that she can use to save lives, which she's, done once, twice, or three, several times before. But yeah, she forgot. She pulled a Game of Thrones and suddenly developed a case of the dum-dums for the sake of the plot. So Moses makes plans to start looking for suspects, but in the meantime, they decide to practice Max's rewind powers. And it did feel good to get that rewind button back. After sorely missing it in double exposure, it was definitely a nice little hit of nostalgia to get to use it again, but it does feel flat a little bit in this game. First of all, let's just start with the graphic side of it. Unlike in the first game where if you rewind too far, you get this really cool visual. In this one, Max just does this weird loop animation with her hands over her head like, oh no, owies, oh no, owies, oh no, owies, oh no, owies. And then there's the visual bugs that happen with the rewind. According to one commenter on my roast video who looked into the game's files, there was apparently also some scrapped VFX work for the rewind. Apparently the rewind was meant to look different, possibly more complex or just more polished, and they didn't finish it. That doesn't surprise me. A lot of elements of this game do certainly feel unfinished. So the player as Max must use their rewind powers to name the anime character that Moses had written on a piece of paper, and then to get a mug out of a cupboard without breaking it. The rewind puzzles in this game are very simple, very straightforward, and if you've played the first game, you're probably not going to find them anywhere near as satisfying. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some good rewind sequences. I have a couple that I actually really enjoyed, including a couple hidden ones that I very much appreciate you had to go out and wander and find. Moses tries to conduct one more rewind test with Max, but then his kettle starts catching fire and Max has to use her rewind powers to stop it. This immediately makes Max extremely worried because, as she says, this didn't happen the first time around. So it appears that time has already started its time fuckery. So Max and Moses make a plan of attack, and Max decides that Vin and Amanda would both know more about the going-ons at Lakeport and the Abraxas Society than anybody else, so Max will head to the Snapping Turtle, where Amanda will be doing an open mic. Boy, aren't you excited to see her open mic? I'll bet she'll be really funny. I'll bet we'll get to see her stand up and she'll be really funny. So awesome that Max is going to her open mic so that we, the audience, can also see her open mic. That'll be fun. There is also this extremely bizarre and out of tone graphic that appears on screen that says, "The game is afoot." And it's just really weird. Y'all, Life is Strange has truly lost its identity. What are we doing? We just got title cards coming on screen being like, the game is afoot. You know what it's giving me? It's giving me the Rise of Skywalker, the dead speak vibes. You know, Max heads back out on campus because she's teaching a class. We finally get to see her teaching a fucking class. I am positive they did this in response to the criticism from Double Exposure that Max taught a workshop, but we never got to see her teach. A lot of people found that stupid and frustrating, so did I. A lot of people were also very confused in Double Exposure as to whether she was or wasn't a teacher. So to clear things up, in this one, she has officially been made a teacher. Here she is, officially teaching a class to 5 people. So this is an arts college that has a photography class taught by a really experienced photographer, and there's only 5 people in the class? I mean, let's face it, we know the reason for this is because it's cheaper and easier to animate 5 people versus 10 or 20 or 30. Regardless, it makes me very happy to see Max doing her thing. I think this scene shows how good of a teacher she is. She's really good at talking with people. I also think this is not only a good assignment where she's making each student take a photo of a stranger and engage with them, but this is a real assignment that I had to do when I was in film school. When I was in my first term of film school, we had to go out to downtown Toronto and take a short video of a stranger. It really challenged us. It really put us out of our comfort zone, and I'm really glad that I did it. So I also think it's very cool and neat that Max gives this as an assignment. I have done this assignment. I have assigned this assignment. However, her class is all Gen Z, so they're too terrified to do it, so Max must be the first one to break the ice for them. I also love how she handles the situation by saying this.
All right, you artsy introverts. I, your fearless leader, shall go first. Observe.
It's not only a super cute line, but it shows that Max is understanding and also willing to roll with the punches. I mean, yes, she's doing this because she's already done it once before. And again, she's already taught this class and we didn't see how it went last time. This game is off to a weird start, admittedly, but Max finds a beautiful stranger who immediately seems to have a certain kind of personality to her. My first initial thought was, whoa, this is a very immediately flirtatious encounter. Are we getting another romance in this game? No, we couldn't get another romance in this game. I mean, we know it's going to be all about Chloe, and then I'm sure there'll be some Vin and Amanda content. But it becomes very obvious very quickly that this person is indeed Sophie, our shapeshifter friend from Double Exposure, in disguise. I found this student that Sophie is disguising herself as having very uncanny expressions. I have heard this from a lot of different people. Actually, talking about the mocap in this game, there is a lot of weird uncanniness happening in this game that wasn't happening in Double Exposure. A lot of people have said, and I do agree, that characters seem to have a sort of overbite, and that when they smile with their full teeth, it gives you this really creepy, uncanny valley feeling. And I'm getting that a lot from not Sophie here. Also, Max makes this very pointed expression when she looks at the Polaroid that she took of not Safi. And if you recall, in double exposure, she had to take double exposures of Safi when she was inside other people's bodies or auras in the overlook kind of space. And when she took the double exposure, it would actually show Safi in the film. So it kind of looks like, definitely by the way that Max is looking, it looks like Max saw Safi in the actual photo, but then you look at the photo and it's just a regular photo. But Max looks at it like, oh my God, it's Safi, but it's just a regular photo of a girl. I feel like this is just another one of those unfinished art design things. She's even walking around with it after, like she sees something in it, but it's just not there. So now Max has to help 3 students, Reggie, Loretta, and Jeanette. But before that, she has a moment of reflection on this snail statue.
First, it was artist in residence. Now it's instructor. If I keep going like this, soon it'll be Professor Caulfield. Oh, God. I always try to point my camera at whatever scares me the most. In high school, it was myself. Then it was being alone. Now, given my history, I guess there's nothing scarier than being an authority figure. But instead of hiding behind the camera, now I have to step in front of it. And despite everything, I love it. I love the students. I love this place. And I will not let it burn down if I can stop it.
There is also a very easy to miss rewind sequence here with this janitor, who also people love. He's a fun, silly guy. He's always dancing. I like him too.
Bow, 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 bow. Coming through. Bow, 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 bow.
His face is also giving weird, uncanny realness, though.
Bow. Sploosh. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, chicka, chicka, bow, 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 chicka, chicka, bow. Boom!
Would be a shame if someone stopped that graffiti from getting washed off.
Oh, man! My suds! Weak. Bow, 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 bow.
Maybe I want to protect free artistic expression. Or maybe I just want President Teller to squirm.
I absolutely did not catch this rewind sequence. I only found out about it when I was going for platinum because it's an achievement to do this secret rewind sequence. And this is a strong example of the kind of rewind stuff that is in this game that I really like. I really wish we had more of this. We get a few of these. We don't get enough in my opinion, but this was a pleasure to discover. Okay, a few quick fire things here. A student leaves a camera behind for Max and she accidentally takes this photo of herself. It's really funny. And the best caption that I've seen for this photo so far is, "Got any games on your phone?" This sign misspells the word dining, so it says off-campus dinning. This is one of several glaring spelling errors in this fucking game. There is another optional podcast here featuring Moses talking about his work, but what's really funny is the joke here is Moses didn't know that he was on an ASMR podcast. This bit is also really funny.
Thank you, Moses Murphy, for sharing your extensive knowledge of astronomy and, most importantly, your deep, slumberous voice.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
And that will conclude another episode of ASMR PhD. I hope that all of you are fast asleep, dreaming of twinkling stars and swirling nebulae. Good night.
Wait, what kind of podcast is this?
And then finally, there is this statue that says girl with balloons. And I already talked about this in my roast video. And a lot of people clapped back and said that I must be very stupid for not understanding why a pretentious art student or artist in general would name this girl with balloons. But it never made sense to me and it still doesn't. But I looked into it because I had a hunch from actually a couple of the comments that I got telling me that it's suspiciously close to a statue that was in the fob in Double Exposure. So I decided to pop open Double Exposure exposure and check it out. And I think I actually have a pretty good answer. I have a solid theory for what's actually going on with this statue in Reunion. So if you go to the fob in double exposure, you will see this statue of a boy with balloons, but the balloons are a skull, and see how it's floating like a balloon would. And that's clever, and that makes sense. Girl with Balloons doesn't, because it's a woman who's holding them and they're dangling from a string. In no way is there anything balloon-like going on here. But I started to think maybe the caption isn't accidental, but rather it's weird for a reason, and that's because multiple things combined in the multiple different universes. So I started looking around the fob to see if maybe there was another statue or piece of art that could be a combined thing going on here. Well, there is this statue of a woman, a very rough sculpture, also in the fob. So my personal theory, my best explanation for why this is called Girl with Balloons, is that this statue is actually a combination of Boy with Balloons and this woman. And I think that is corroborated by the fact that Max says this when she looks at the statue.
With the fab closed from the storm damage, they moved a lot of the art out here.
So we know that the statue is from the fob and it's been moved outside. So it totally makes sense that this is actually these two statues from double exposure magically combined. And that would explain why it says Girl with Balloons, because it's a woman and it's also the statue with balloons, but it's them combined, which also explains why her carrying balloons is so similar to the other statue. Anyways, that's my personal theory. Maybe that sounds crackpot. I think it seems like the most likely thing. It's a hell of a lot better than my original guess that the caption was just written possibly by AI. I don't think it was AI. I just think it's a very convoluted thing now. So the player as Max must use her powers to help Reggie take a photo of a guy, tell Jeanette exactly what she wants to hear about how she feels her photo turned out, and then bust Loretta's balls. Max will also overhear Reggie, who's now the head of Abraxas, for some fucking reason. We know the reason is because Diamond was supposed to be the lead protagonist of this game, but then that changed because they brought back Chloe, and so now he's the head of Abraxas. Anyways, Max overhears Reggie talking about something Abraxas related that maybe has something to do with the fire, and Loretta is actually spying on him. So now you and Loretta get to be in cahoots, and you listen in on what he's talking about.
Respectfully, I don't think you get it. This shit with the Fremont house isn't a joke. If word got out, you're asking me to do something very risky. If I stick my neck out, what's in it for me?
And then once that's over, the player must choose whether or not to rewind on this, so whether or not Loretta knows that you were listening in too. This would seem consequential, but I guess it doesn't, because later on the scene you're going to have with Loretta talking more about Abraxas can turn out the exact same way. It's just a matter of whether or not Loretta's already aware that Max was interested in it. This is one of those illusion of choice things. And then finally, when her class is all wrapped up, we run into Yasmin, who everyone will remember from double exposure as the previous head of the school, and Safi's mother, who helped cover up a student's suicide because the student's work was stolen by Lucas. She is one of my least favorite characters in double exposure, and I like her even less here. Also, somebody pointed this out online, and it's funny because I haven't been able to stop thinking about it, and I don't know why. But somebody said that for whatever reason, she looks a lot younger in this game, and I don't know why, but I immediately felt that too. I'm wondering if this also has something to do with the less than perfect mocap. Somebody in my comment section said their theory on why the mocap is so much worse is that they simply took the raw mocap data and then put it right on screen, because usually you do a lot of tweaking and refining and changing things, so it's going to look a little weird when you take unrefined raw data and you just put it on screen. I'm kind of wondering if maybe the mocap is also why she randomly seems younger. Her face just seems, I don't know. I mean, she had a lot of time off since stepping down. Maybe she went to a really good clinic. I don't know. But Yasmin will ask whether or not you've seen Safi, and you can choose to say yes, or you can choose to say no. And you'll see here, whichever choice that you make, it'll show this action will have consequences. Y'all want to hear something crazy? This is the first time that it happens in this game. And in my first playthrough, this came in at the 2 hour and 18 mark. Yes, almost 2.5 hours to get your first consequential action. Ugh. On the bright side, though, there is genuinely a lot of meaningful choices that split off into different versions of different endings at the end of this game. And we do have that to look forward to, and that is really cool. And there was some legitimate surprises of the branching in the end, near the end. But we're not at the end. We're still at the start, babe. We haven't even seen Chloe yet. And we're 2.5 hours in. Yeah, a lot of people were also very shocked and possibly upset to find that Chloe doesn't come in until about a third into the game, because this game is actually 3 episodes, or at least it was, and you can even see that there's chapter splits in the scene selection, and people who've data mined the game also saw that it was originally split as 5 episodes, and the first 2 episodes were going to feature Diamond as a lead protagonist. And basically what happened was they cut out the first 2 episodes, kept the last 3, turned that into a longer version of the game, cut Diamond out, brought Chloe in. This has essentially been all but confirmed by the data mining, but trust me, if you want to go and look it up for yourself, there's a lot of information on Reddit. There was a lot of fascinating stuff from that data, and we now know that this definitely was a whole different game before the serious and seriously deserved backlash to Double Exposure that caused them to pivot and bring Chloe back. They even held these meetings with fans in London and LA where they made them sign NDAs and asked them a lot of questions about what they did and didn't like about the first game and about Double Exposure. And I can definitely see, I definitely feel that there was a hugely positive influence on that, because I do see a lot of aspects of this game seem to be direct changes made by very direct criticisms that I and others have made, and that is good. I think whatever we got with Reunion is definitely better than whatever we were going to get with this Diamond-centric game. Also, when you do make a large choice in the game, it gives you this sound effect, which is very, metallic, heavy, kind of brutalist sounding. I don't like it.
I saw her around campus just now.
It's very not Life is Strange. It's oddly aggressive. Yeah. Okay, next scene. Max goes to the open mic night for charity at the Snapping Turtle. Do we get to see Amanda perform her stand-up? No, and I've already talked about this in my roast, so I'm going to leave that one alone. But what I do want to talk about is this. Folks who've played True Colors will remember this piece of art that Charlotte made about Alex. So this game tells us that Charlotte used to be an artist that went to Caledon, and now she's donating this piece for charity, and Max has decided to bid on it. Or should I say you, the player, have the option to bid on it. I really like this, not only because I do think that is a moderate piece of world building that doesn't screw with any kind of canon or anything. Sure, Charlotte could have gone here for art. Why not? And also because there is a pretty nice, rewarding, and tucked away rewind sequence here. Essentially what happens is you have to bid several times on this art piece, and then Vin will try to outbid you. And it's not just enough that you outbid him, but you also have to rewind to steal a pen at the very last minute so that he doesn't have that last chance to make the final bid before it's all done. This one is great because it's rewarding, and I didn't know about it the first time, and then I saw people on Reddit showing how they had the statue in their house the next morning, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought I bid enough times on the statue. I didn't know that you also have to go far enough to rewind to stop Vin from cheating, and as a reward, it will be in your house the next morning. That is cool. I really like that. This is like the janitor graffiti thing. More of this, please. More. We don't necessarily get more. This is one of a few of those really cool hidden rewind sequences that is genuinely rewarding. I would have loved to have seen more of this. Anyways, the main point of this scene is for Max to continue finding out stuff about the school and Lakeport and who could possibly start the fire. She meets this new bartender. He lost his job at the bar that he worked at because of the mind storm or whatever, so he's kind of a disgruntled guy. Max talks to Amanda, who essentially confirms that there is a lot of unrest in the town, especially as there seems to be a lot of conflict between the school and the town. Max can also have this optional lakeside moment of reflection.
My powers always force me to look ahead, even when they take me into the past. Just once, I'd love to know what's coming and not have to change it.
Max talks to Vin and asks him if he knows anything about a Fremont house, and he says he has no idea. This is him clearly lying, but we don't know that yet. We're about to find it out though, because after the stand-up, we will see that Lucas is there. Oh yeah, Lucas, that guy who caused a student to commit suicide by infringing her work and turning into a best-selling book. He's just chilling in this game. He's just hanging out in the bar and chilling, and now he teaches high school in the town, and everyone is weirdly nice to him. Much, much, much nicer than this motherfucking asshole deserves. But don't fret, fellow players. There's actually a couple good chances for both Max and Chloe to say some really funny shit to his face.
Someone once said that education only serves to mask weaker minds in the language of their betters.
So I did. Though I wouldn't expect it to resonate with you. What did you think?
God, listening to it was one thing, but praising it?
It's the most self-satisfied nonsense I've ever heard, and I've been to galleries in East Williamsburg.
Well, it appears your tastes haven't changed. If you'll excuse me.
Okay, got it out of my system.
As I've already pointed out a couple times, there are actually some genuinely really funny bits to this game. This might actually be one of the most comical Life is Strange games. I don't know if everybody loves that. I do appreciate that when the jokes hit in this game, they really hit. This sequence where you can use your rewind powers to just be really mean and unleash on Lucas is dead ass so funny. This is some classic Max rewind shenanigan shit, and I am here for it. Anyways, the main takeaways from this conversation with Lucas are that A, he's started a podcast, so he's now somehow even more insufferable, and also that Fremont Street is where the Abraxas house is. I love how this is supposed to be some big reveal where that sounds like the most obvious piece of information ever. Fremont House? Oh, you mean the Abraxas house on Fremont Street? Was this supposed to be a puzzle? Anyways, now that Max knows that the Abraxas house is on Fremont Street, she decides to go and investigate. And just as Max pulls out, Chloe arrives in her truck, and players are finally able to play as Chloe again. This was 3 hours and 25 minutes into my first gameplay, so I think people were also a bit disappointed about that. This is supposed to be a dual protagonist, but you play Chloe for roughly the first 5 minutes, and then you do 3.5 hours without her, and then you get her back. It's pretty inconsistent. This game is about minimum 65% Max, and the rest is Chloe. I do really appreciate that they brought Chloe back, but I don't feel like they did enough with her. I wanted to play her more. I wanted her to have more of a direct role. She is really here because of the events of Double Exposure, but she is at times something of a passive character in this story. Her character is more reactionary than anything. But she shows up at the bar, gets hassled by this dumb dude named Ren, who makes such a cheap, old, lazy joke.
My buddies and I were wondering, why do all you gender studies chicks have weird hair?
And she gets kicked out by the security guard. So now players must find a way around back. Not that it's very hard, you literally just walk around the back and then you step on this bin. Gameplay, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like some of this is so simple. There's nothing to it. I would argue that the dialogue is one of the biggest strengths of this game, and the actual gameplay itself is one of the weaknesses. Chloe runs into not Safi, who instantly recognizes her from Max's photos. Chloe, of course, has no idea who Safi is or that she's a shapeshifter. So not only is this moment very confusing, but only made extremely more confusing by when Safi touches her and they go into this place. These nightmare otherworldly sequences are pretty well done in this game, and I sincerely enjoy them. The color grading is especially very cool. This brings in a little bit of that supernatural drama that the game is lacking, so I really appreciate these scenes. So Chloe has no idea what that meant, but Sophie now understands that her fate has been tied to Chloe's. The plot thickens. So Max arrives at the Abraxas house, which is set to be demolished. Apparently it was very badly damaged in the storm, but Max doesn't really see any damage anywhere. There is a Typhon mining truck over here in the background. This is either an Easter egg about True Colors or it's a reused asset. I mean, it's technically both. It seems for all intents and purposes, this is Deck 9's last game. They seem to be going out of business. They have something like less than 30 staff now. So I do think, if anything, it's fitting that this is the game where you just throw as many reusable assets that are also technically Easter eggs to the other games here. Why not? It's harmless, and it allowed them to develop the game with a very, very limited staff, which sucks, but it's nice that they were able to still do it. Also, I don't know, maybe Typhon also works in demolition. I mean, it makes sense. They're a mining company, but they blow shit up. Max sees some fresh footprints. She tries to get into the building, but it's blocked, and then these magical fireflies come out of nowhere and conveniently lead her around back to where she needs to go. Thank you, plot convenience fireflies. I love you. You're the best. I'm sure you will be explained in due time. I'm sure of it. Totally. Meanwhile, back at the Snapping Turtle, after having a nice, good meal, Chloe is trying to essentially hype herself up to talk to Max. Depending on whether you chose Max as a friend or Max as a romantic option, as well as whether or not Chloe lived or Chloe died, is going to modify the things that she says while she is musing here.
If you were friends with Chloe, it'll go like this.
Hey, Max. It's me, your former forever best friend. What's going on?
And then you can choose to ponder some more. If Chloe survived and you were friends with her, it'll go like this.
Hey, Max. Remember when I ditched you and we haven't talked since? No? Me neither.
There is also a Puerto Lobos keychain. Puerto Lobos, of course, is a location talked much about in Life is Strange 2, and also a place that you can end up depending on if you're very naughty or not. And I love a good Life is Strange 2 reference to see. I'm happy to see it. Amanda and Chloe have a chat, and Amanda offers her some sage advice.
I don't normally go in for the whole wise bartender shtick, but in my opinion, there are precious few people on this earth worth giving a shit about. If you found one of them, and it sounds like it's me, you're one of the lucky ones. And then none of the other shit matters.
I really like this exchange between them, especially because at this point, Amanda doesn't know that this is Max's ex, and Chloe doesn't know that this is also Max's ex, depending on what choices you've made. But either way, it's a double-blind situation where we get to see them interact with each other just as two humans who don't know they have any kind of connection, and we see that they get along and they have a nice rapport. That doesn't surprise me. They do seem like two characters that would get along, and I did enjoy the couple small interactions they do have together. That annoying-ass security guard that I don't think is very well voice-acted shows up.
Hey, didn't I kick your ass out? You're going on the banned list. Are you a student?
And Chloe has to win her first Backtalk challenge. Backtalk is, of course, a game mechanic from Before the Storm, where Chloe has to use the gift of gab to win her way in certain social situations. In Before the Storm, it wasn't very well implemented because I thought the dialogue was legitimately cringe, and I had a hard time believing that Chloe would win a conversation with the kind of dumb shit that she was saying.
You could have a flamethrower, an army of robot ninjas, and a motherfucking dragon on a leash in there, and I'd still kick your ass.
However, it did give the player something to do, and I thought it was a mostly novel mechanic, so I was excited to see how they'd use it here. You use it a total of 3 times. This is the first of 3 times that you use it during the game, and it just goes to show how much Chloe is underutilized in this game. I really do wish that Double Exposure and Reunion could have just been one larger game with Chloe in it the whole time, and then we would have gotten to see her do lots of things, and it would have been really nice. But in this one, we kind of just get to see her do some things. And the talkback sequences are really short in this game too. You only have to say 2 things to win an argument instead of 4 or 5. So no, I don't think this is the be-all, end-all of bringing back Max and Chloe. They certainly could have done more, but this also could have been a much, much, much worse game And I am very appreciative of that. Through the course of this conversation between the two of them and Lucas, it's essentially revealed that a woman has been seen poking around the Abraxas house, and now Chloe understands that it would be Max, and now she knows where to go and look for her. Max enters the basement of the Abraxas house and finds a very culty looking room, and Loretta. And then they find out that the place is about to be demolished, that they're actually doing a middle of the night demolition. So the player, as Max, must use her rewind powers to properly clip all 4 charges. This is a very simple, very straightforward sequence, and I didn't find it particularly engaging.
Holy shit! You're crazy, Max.
So Max and Loretta get out of there. The cops show up. Loretta goes to distract the cops. And then who should show up but our own Chloe Price. Now, this scene will play out a couple different ways in terms of the music, as well as whether Chloe lived or died. If you chose the version where Chloe died, it'll play Spanish Sahara by Foles, which is the song that played when Chloe died in the first game, and Max will say this. If you decided that Chloe lived at the end of Life is Strange 1, it'll play Piano Fire by Sparkle Horse, which is not the song that played when Chloe lived at the end of Life is Strange 1, but rather is the song that played when Max and Chloe danced together.
How are you here?
Lots to discuss.
I'm going to have to assume they could not get the rights to Obstacles, which is, it's a letdown for me. But did you know there is a secret third option here? If you use the Disable Copyright Music tab, like I did for my third playthrough, no matter which choice you made, whether Chloe lived or died, it's actually going to play a new song called Past Life by Tessa Rose Jackson, and hot take, this is the best version out of all 3.
Chloe. Hey, Max. Heard you were in trouble.
Not only does this song fuck hard, but this song gives this moment its own identity, where the other 2 versions feel like they're just trying to recapture, they're trying to give you that member berries. This song actually works so well, it kind of makes me angry that you will only get this version if you play disabled copyrighted music. They wrote and recorded this song for this scene, and it's so good. It's actually so good. It makes me think that adding in Spanish Sahara and Piano Fire was a very late in the development stage idea that they threw in there. So yeah, if you're a fan of this game, maybe next time you go to play the game, try using this version because it goes really, really hard and is actually one of my favorite musical sequences in this game, but it's buried. Anyways, that concludes the end of Not Episode 1. You see, from all the data mining, it's pretty clear this is actually where Episode 1 was going to end. When you also think about it from a plot perspective, it makes total sense. Ending on this big crescendo note with Chloe coming in and the 2 of them run away, that's very much where an episode would end. However, this game does not have episode markers because they didn't want people to know that it's really only 3 episodes out of what used to be a 5-episode arc that they cut down because it was supposed to have Diamond as a lead character, and they reshuffled all of this really, really last minute, so they just cut out those first 2 episodes, took the 3 episodes that remained, morphed it into this story, and then removed the episode markers so that people wouldn't know they're getting sold 3/5 of a game instead of an entire game, because they know that people were already mad enough that Double Exposure turned out to be what it was, so also offering people a sequel that is only 3 episodes, that is a short game, would have only made people angrier. But it doesn't make me less angry because this is a short game. This is 3 episodes spread out over 10 or 11 hours, but it's kind of a slug of a 10 or 11 hours. It is a short game, make no mistake. The next morning, Max wakes up on the stairwell, having watched Chloe sleep in her bed all night. We also get a brief flashback to the night before of them coming into the house. I don't know why they couldn't have just put this into a scene. I just kind of think it's weird that they wake up the next morning and then we first have a flashback of them arriving the night before.
Max, you're kind of staring a lot.
Sorry, I think I might be in shock.
Max's internal dialogue will also change depending on whether you chose Chloe lived or Chloe died.
Sure. Blast from the past and all.
She said it so naturally. Like she had no idea how insane it sounded. Like she'd never died. That was one way to put it. I felt blasted into a million pieces last night.
Max, we have a lot to catch up on, but I've been awake since Indianapolis.
Of course. Take my bed. We'll talk in the morning.
Thank you for understanding.
Either way, Max has been watching over Chloe to make sure that she doesn't disappear through the night, metaphysically or literally. And there is also, once you do get up, a very easy to miss optional moment of reflection with Max at Chloe's side. This is also weird. I test uploaded a preview version of this review video, and this sequence, this moment of reflection, got copyright flagged. So I assumed that I accidentally included my first playthrough, which had the copyrighted song, and not my second or third playthrough, where I had substitute licensed music on the whole time. Well, I just went and checked, and I did have substitute licensed music on, but the game still used this song, Past Life Midnight version, in both playthroughs, and it got copyright flagged. So this beautiful system they've created also has a fault in the cracks because they forgot to swap this one out with something not copyrighted. So I can't really play you this moment of reflection because it's copyrighted even with disable copyrighted music on. That's so Deck 9 of them to create this really great feature and then also just to fuck it up a little bit. You old such and such Deck 9. I am not gonna miss you. So Max lets Chloe continue to sleep, and in the meantime, the player must do a few things around the house, like lighting a fire, plating some food for Chloe for when she wakes up. You can also look around and see a few things. Now, if you did that whole rewind sequence successfully at the Snapping Turtle with the auction, you will see Charlotte's sculpture in your house, which is great. I also have some questions. Since the event was only the night before, and Max went straight from the Snapping Turtle to picking up Chloe to bringing her home and then staying up all night watching her sleep, when did somebody from the school bring this sculpture into her house? The timeline of that, I can't think of any version of that where it makes sense. You're telling me that she won this sculpture and then somebody who was at the Snapping Turtle immediately brought it into her lodging, had keys to her place, and then set it up for her somewhere? No, you know why they did this? They did this because there is no other scene of Max's house. This is the only scene inside her house, and then we're never going to come back to it, so they couldn't find another place to put this statue having arrived. I like that we get this statue as an Easter egg, but it also makes absolutely zero sense that it would just be in her house the next morning. There is also this flyer that the player can look at. This is meant to be a weird result of the combined worlds, where it's both half a flyer for Sophie's memorial as well as an advertisement for the Krampus party. And dog, whoever designed this graphic deserves the opposite of a pay raise. What the fucking Christ am I looking at? This is inscrutable. Why is it mostly just white? Why did they take two images and then turn the opacity down to 20% and then just split it from the top and the bottom half? You know why? Because this is like a temporary image. This is a temp idea that they did not complete. No way this was meant to be the final, because it doesn't even look like anything. I am beside myself with how unfinished some of this shit is, and this has got to be one of the biggest culprits.
Max.
Chloe wakes up just in time for Max to return from parking Chloe's truck, and the two of them talk for the first time since last night.
How long has it been? A year? A decade? I'm not really sure anymore.
Chloe, how are you here right now?
I drove? And before you say anything, I know. I should have called first. I just figured I'd know what the fuck to say when I was looking at you.
Okay. The floor is yours.
This notification appears on screen saying that in some scenes you will get to play as both Max and Chloe, and a corresponding icon will appear to tell you who you're answering as. This icon does not consistently appear in every scene with Max and Chloe. They really built it up to seem important. They literally paused the whole game and told you about it. And then there are several scenes with Max and Chloe where it doesn't tell you who's speaking. And sometimes I answered certain questions as one person thinking the other would answer. So annoying.
What kind of visions?
I keep seeing this dark-haired woman who just so happens to be on your photo wall. Who's Safi?
Chloe asks about Safi, and Max tells her about her and her superpowers. Chloe has this pretty funny line where she asks Max if Caledon is basically an X-Men situation.
So this place is... what? Like some freaky power academy?
No, not at all. It's a coincidence, as far as I know.
Never a dull fucking moment with you.
And then the two of them continue talking. This scene is a lot of really long exposition. This is over 10 full minutes of them talking back and forth, and there are a lot of variations based on whether or not you romance Chloe and based on whether or not Chloe lived or died. So allow me to just try and put the gist of it together, because we as an audience cannot collectively sit here for 20 minutes and watch all versions of it. I understand that this is Max and Chloe coming back together for the first time either since Chloe has died or since they have broken up, so they are going to have a long conversation. But as a video game, this scene, important as it is also kind of a slog, because it is just 10 minutes uncut of them talking. But that is also the nature of the weirdness they have set up with this game, because we also need this scene. We need to see Max go through all the stages of someone that she thought was dead showing up on her doorstep, or someone that she had broken up with a really long time ago showing up and saying that she's having visions of her magically powered friend who almost destroyed a city last year. It's a very complicated web, and unfortunately the only way they can really make sense of it to the player is through a lot of expositive dialogue.
You saved Arcadia Bay when you died a decade ago.
Am I a ghost?
Of course not.
Well, I'm not a fucking living person, that much is clear. I remember everything that happened after that. We spent years on the road together. Didn't we?
I spent years on the road, but I was alone. What if your memories are what would have happened if you lived? Chloe, the town was destroyed over a decade ago.
So, you must be the real crazy one then, because I just drove through Arcadia Bay a month ago. Had lunch with my mom at the Two Whales.
Joyce is alive? In the town?
It's right where we left it.
How do we have two separate realities? And how is Arcadia Bay back?
Max realizes that Chloe only started having her visions after the event of Safi's power storm the year previously. So Max explains the situation with Safi, and now both of them understand that somehow Chloe's fate has been linked to Safi's. Now, depending on your choices, this conversation will go in two very different ways. If you chose the version where Chloe lived, Max and Chloe will discuss the nature of their breakup.
I feel like everything between us just got so
deeply and thoroughly fucked.
We argued for a solid month over the stupidest stuff. At the time, it felt like life and death. Now I barely remember most of it. But I still don't understand how it all went to shit.
I know you weren't rewinding when we were together. but it still felt like your powers hung over everything.
I could never get past the idea that you blamed me for the storm.
I never.
I know, I do. I think part of me wanted you to. Like, my guilt didn't think I deserved to be happy.
And if you chose the version where Chloe died, Max will tell Chloe what her life was like after Chloe died.
How did my mom take it?
About how you'd expect. David was there for her, but he was a mess too.
That guy contains multitudes. Remember when we visited him at that hippie camp and... God damn it, never mind.
I'm sorry, Chloe. What can I do?
Max, I don't need you to do anything. I'm not some problem for you to solve.
Professor Caulfield, it's security.
What are you doing? Don't answer.
Noelle, the security guard, shows up, and Max has to cover for Chloe. Chloe stands behind the door and mocks Noelle. This bit is legitimately funny.
Thanks for the warning, Noelle, but she's perfectly safe.
Due respect, ma'am, but it's my job to determine that.
I should get back to my dark room.
Have a good weekend.
Afterward, if you chose the version where Chloe died, Max will expand a little bit on what she did with her time after saving Arcadia Bay.
Ran away from it as fast as I could. Your mom gave me your truck. I went to all the places you and Rachel had wanted to go. I drove until the hole in my chest started to scab over. And I took photos of empty buildings, so other people could see what the hole looked like.
And then no matter what version you choose, Chloe will ask about Max's love life. If you chose that you romanced Vin in Double Exposure, Max will answer like this.
And you've been here for what? A year? Make any friends? Date any babes?
I did meet a guy last year. We're still close. We're just not trying to get any closer.
Sounds like a dick.
I haven't told you anything about him.
I noticed you didn't say he's not a dick.
And if you chose that you romanced Amanda in Double Exposure, Max will answer like this.
I did get close to someone. You'd like her. She's a bartender in town.
What? The girl with the Princess Leia buns? I met her. She's cute. So what happened?
She had issues with my powers. It wasn't her fault. I'm a lot to handle.
These are the kind of very tiny dialogue tweaks that actually back up choosing the romance options, but other than that, that is it. The fact that you dated Vin or Amanda means very, very little, except for one scene that has to do with Vin that only happens if you make very particular choices near the end of this game. So also in a very weird, uneven way, Vin's romance technically carries more weight than Amanda's. I don't know, it's weird. They really didn't know what to do with these romances, and I get it because they were never going to bring Chloe back. So when they knew they were going to bring Chloe back, they knew that she was going to have to be at the forefront of the romance and that there wouldn't be any other optional romances. So they did their best to softly write out Vin and Amanda, and all things considered, I guess they did an okay job. Again, Reunion had a very difficult job of not only picking up the mess of Double Exposure, but also trying to get rid of the shittier parts and then replace it with something better. We'll never know what the original plan was, but it is a little weird that at the end of everything, one of the romance will count a lot more towards your goals at the end of the game. It's weird. Max tells Chloe about the fire and the two of them make a plan. Chloe will meet with Moses and Max will learn more about the Abraxas Society. But before they head out, Chloe asks Max this.
How are you feeling about me being here with all this going on?
I didn't know I could feel this happy. You invented a whole new emotion for me.
Wow. You're welcome.
Your visions, the fire. We'll figure it all out. I'm just so glad you're here.
Well, good. I guess I'll stick around.
Max and Chloe arrive on campus, and Chloe is really, really excited to see the observatory. I love this. As you remember, as it was established in Before the Storm, Chloe absolutely loves science, so I love that she reacts this way.
Is that what I think it is? You assholes have your own observatory? Oh, okay. I know we have a fire and an existential crisis to solve, but I am definitely breaking in there tonight.
This is some really strong characterization. There is some very strong Chloe characterization in this game. There's also some really strong Max stuff too, but you know, it's really nice to see Chloe back and so fleshed out and so well written. It continues to boggle my mind why they originally didn't want to bring her back for either of these two games. I'll never understand that.
Earth to Max. You good?
Sorry. I just still can't believe it. You're really here.
Just before they part ways, Max has another vision of the fire, and this is when she realizes that the person that Moses was holding was Chloe. Now, Max decides not to say anything in this moment, but we will get a choice later on whether or not to divulge this. This has some consequences, I guess. It doesn't have a lot. You'd think it would, but Max heads to the admin hall where she talks to Vin, who reveals that he had her car towed, which she's initially mad about, but then he explains that he had her car towed so that the police wouldn't find it, so nobody knows that she was there. But Vin does. He essentially asks her why she was there, and she essentially counters with, "What do you know about the Abraxas Society?" And while Vin doesn't tell her anything, he does give her a clue that Abraxas Society may not have been as secretive in the past, so she decides to go research it in the library. Max finds Loretta in the library, who has been researching Abraxas Society but has hit a dead end. Whether you spied on Reggie with Loretta, or you rewound, or you didn't do it at all, this conversation functionally goes the same way. Max and Loretta come to an understanding that they're both trying to find out more about the Abraxas Society, but that Loretta doesn't know what else to look for. So basically you walk around the room, you press look at some books, and then you convey keywords back to Loretta, which she uses to search old articles until you finally find out about the Maybon party.
A masked Maybon party? And look, it's the same weekend as the other article. They must be prepping for another one tonight. This is what we need. I just have to get my hands on a mask, and I could go anywhere, talk to anyone. Max?
Max starts having what is essentially a panic attack, so she comes clean to Loretta, although she poses it as an anonymous threat being made about setting the school on fire. Now, Loretta is more invested than ever in attending the Maybon party, and players must choose whether or not to rewind on this whole conversation with Loretta. You as Max will retain the info you've learned about the Maybon party, but it's your choice whether or not Loretta remembers. This will have direct consequences on the Maybon party, and that is nice. It is nice to see that there are some direct consequences of your rewind actions in this game. Again, I do wish sometimes there was a little bit more, but this is a good example of Max's rewind powers being integrated into the plot.
I kept her safe, and she'll never know. And if she did, she'd never forgive me.
Having learned the info about the party, Max now goes back to Vin and tries to convince him to stop it. But he basically plays dumb. He says that it's not happening, that he told Reggie to cancel it. And they also talk about how Owen is the one that fast-tracked the demolition. So Max thinks that Owen definitely has something to do with it. So Max must use her rewind powers to convince Vin to follow Owen so that Max can get into Owen's office by herself. Once inside Owen's office, Max can find out via his computer that he's planning on meeting with Reggie, that he apparently has ongoing weekly meetings with Reggie. So Owen definitely has some kind of weird thing going on with Abraxas. She also notices a freshly picked lock and is now pretty sure that Safi was also snooping in there, / that the Owen she just saw may have also actually been Safi. Max also gets caught by Vin, and players can choose one of two paths to get themselves out of this hot water. You can either use an Owen AI chatbot on his computer to call Vin and convince him to step away, or if you simply keep rewinding far enough, you can just get out of there before Vin comes back.
No Vin, no problem. Like I was never even here. You wanna play cat and mouse, Sophie? Let's play.
So back on campus, Max must find out who in the quad Sophie is impersonating. She also noticed that Sophie, as Owen, took an important file, so she also has to go around when she talks to everybody and try and find out if a folder that they're holding is actually the folder that Sophie was looking for. But before that, Max will receive a phone call from Chloe, and the two of them will have this conversation.
Hello?
Hey, hippie. Just checking in.
Have you talked to Moses?
Not yet. He was with a student. I'm just sitting outside the planetarium, trying to imagine what it would be like to go to school here. But if I had that kind of money, I'd probably just buy a tour bus.
You are gonna love Moses. I wish I could be there for this meeting of the minds.
This conversation may not add anything to the plot or move the game forward. It is definitely a big Max Chloe fan service moment, but it is really nice to see them talking and connecting, and I gotta admit, I really enjoyed this part, even if it doesn't really do anything functionally.
On my trip out here, I spent hours wondering what it would be like to see you again. But I never expected mad scientist friend hangout.
What did you expect?
Most often, a slammed door in my face.
Really? Why?
Well, you never responded to my text, for starters.
I didn't know it was you. I didn't have your number in this reality. I barely even believed it was you when you showed up in person.
Excuses, excuses.
So what I'm hearing is, even though the school's in danger and reality's a mess, this trip is going better than you expected?
Oh. Damn. I guess it is.
Max tries to talk to Owen, but he's not interested in talking to her, so Max must make a distraction with this Krampus guy so she can look at his papers, not Sophie. Max wonders if one of these two teachers could be Sophie, and it turns out neither of them is, but there is a funny moment where she overhears this conversation and completely misinterprets what they were talking about.
Are we sure we want to do this? What if my husband finds out?
I already told my husband. He was excited until I told him he couldn't watch.
Okay, so they were talking about doing a presentation together. That makes way more sense than where my mind went.
Then Max talks to Jeanette, and while Jeanette is also not Sophie, Max must use her rewind powers to appease Jeanette again. I don't get this character of Jeanette. She is a very needy student. And in the all of two interactions that we have with her, she gets upset or perturbed very easily.
Have you ever... I'm sort of thinking about applying to grad school.
For what?
Oh. I shouldn't have... Never mind.
Wait, Jeanette, I didn't...
It's cool, Max. I'll see you in class.
And then Max has to use her rewind powers to tell Jeanette exactly what she wants to hear, and then Jeanette is all delighted and bubbly.
I've been meaning to ask you, have you ever considered applying to grad school for photography?
Yes, actually. I wanted to ask you about it, but I figured if you thought it was a good idea, you would have brought it up.
I hate that. From a pedagogical perspective, that's not good teaching. And also, that doesn't make Jeanette a very good student. It makes her way too sensitive. Why does Jeanette get upset? Because Max, wasn't already thinking of Jeanette doing grad school because Jeanette bringing it up surprises Max? What's wrong with that? Most people don't go to grad school. Instead, Jeanette gets all cagey and is like, oh no, I brought up grad school and Max was surprised that maybe I would do that. So now I'm going to shut down and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand the character of Jeanette and I do find it bothersome. There is another optional podcast that Max can listen to in the quad. featuring an interview with Owen. And while it does lend a bit more insight into Owen's thoughts about Caledon and his plans for expansion, the real reason I want to talk about it is the audio, because this game has some really bad audio mixing. It has some audio bugs. And this is a good example because if you listen carefully, every time one of the two people in this podcast stops talking, the sound just goes totally dead. Like it sounds like their mics are cutting off.
Do you plan to follow her path or forge your own?
First off, no one can doubt President Fayad's commitment to excellence. Under her leadership, it became a world-class institution. But I took the reins during a time of great uncertainty, both for Caledon and for higher education in general. New challenges require broad visions and new strategies.
You're referring to your Caledon 2.0 plans, I take it?
So anytime a character starts talking or stops talking, you can hear their mic cutting in and cutting out. This is an issue I've noticed several times throughout this game, especially a scene later on, which we will talk about when we get there. I don't want to mention it now because I guess I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, audio issues are abound. And finally, Max goes to Yasmin and Vin, who are in conversation together, and throughout the course of the conversation, Max must use her deduction skills to try and discern if either one of them might be Safi. Now, spoiler alert, neither of them is Safi, but we do learn that Yasmin is heavily involved with the new plans for the school.
We have a call scheduled this afternoon to hear some updates about his Caledon 2.0 plans. I'm sure it will be as lively as ever.
And then also there's this kind of cringe moment where both of them like beg Max to take a photo of her.
Yeah, go take your next famous photo. Preferably of me.
You know I always support your work, Maxine, but if you take his portrait before you take mine...
Don't listen to her.
Maybe I can use this photo to get to the folder on the table.
It feels really contrived. I feel like neither of them would really ask that. I don't know. And then to boot, when you do go to take a photo of them, your camera is completely out of focus. For reasons beyond me, because I'm not in game development, there are a lot of out of focus shots in this game, and I know other people have noticed it too. I hope this is something that they're going to patch, but I don't have my hopes high. Now, it turns out that the folder on the table was actually given to Yasmin to give to Max. And when she opens it up, she realizes that Safi has essentially played her, that Safi was never there, that Safi basically designed this whole thing to screw with her, and that she's actually waiting for her at the Snapping Turtle. Back at the observatory, Chloe meets up with Moses to talk about the whole situation, this whole madness, and oof, this is a lot of sitting and talking. This is a super exposition heavy scene. Somebody in my comment section of my last video said that Moses just feels like an exposition machine in this game and less like a real character. And honestly, they were so dead ass right. As much as I disliked Moses, he doesn't really get to do anything in this game other than explain timey-wimey stuff to Chloe. We don't even truly get to see these two bond. They get along, but I mean, they mostly just talk about the sciencey nature of it all. Luckily, players do get a little break between two very long conversations with Moses where the player can free roam, and there is a very cool hidden thing here where if Chloe both looks at the calendar, which will make her remember that it's Max's birthday, and then looks at the 3D printer, then and only then, Chloe will ask Moses if she can use his 3D printer to make something for Max for her birthday. This is not only a very sweet act by Chloe, but also a very rewarding moment to get in the game because, of course, you're likely to get it very organically. If you're one of those players like me who will look at and comment on everything in every room and every Life is Strange game, you like to actually do everything that's in front of you, this will naturally come together. And it did for me on my first playthrough. And I'm glad I did it because when she does give her the gift, it's so cute. You'll see. You'll see. Anyways, Moses has heard all Chloe knows at this point, and he has come up with a theory. And it's a pretty obvious one. It's basically that a paradox is happening. And then Moses essentially very clearly explains his theory, which just so happens to be exactly 100% what is going on. Thank you, Moses, for very clearly laying out the plot for us.
A storm threatened your town, and Max was forced to make a choice. She let you die, averted the storm, and saved Arcadia Bay.
But I'm here.
Yes. Somehow, the storm didn't destroy the town, and you didn't die. A year ago, a storm threatened the school and the town. And Max made another choice. Or rather, she refused to choose between Safi and Caledon. Somehow she saved Safi and the school. And however she tied those realities together, it appears...
She tied up some loose ends while she was at it. She brought me and Arcadia Bay back together? With Safi and all the rest?
Yes. Somehow.
So now that we've officially established that all of this is happening and Arcadia Bay is back and Chloe is back because of Safi's storm the year previous, Moses also comes to realize that just talking about the event can actually trigger these nightmares that Chloe is happening. And suddenly he looks over and she is indeed in that other space. But she can also communicate with Moses. So Moses helps walk her through what he is going to call the overlight. It's the name that he gives to this liminal sub-reality.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Stay calm and tell me what you see.
There's a sign. It's for Caledon. And my old high school?
So this place pulls attributes from both towns. Hence the lighthouse.
Chloe describes her surroundings, which include pieces of what appear to be poetry by Safi.
Going, she replied. Then, gone.
She follows the overlook path to find images of Max and Safi, with endless Polaroids of Chloe's body on the Blackwell bathroom floor pouring out of Max's camera. This is another really cool visual idea we have here in the overlook. And again, it kind of makes me wish we had more of this high-level creativity in the game. Regardless, I'm happy to see it here. Once Chloe is ejected from the overlook, her and Moses chat about what she saw, and Chloe comments on Safi's fragile state of mind.
I saw some of Safi's thoughts and memories. We're stuck in that place together.
Makes sense. Safi is aware of the dual realities, and she's suddenly back on campus. Maybe she's looking for the same answers you are.
She seems depressed.
Well, you and she are trapped inside your own deaths. Emotionally, I can't imagine what that is doing to the both of you.
Chloe comes to the conclusion that with everything happening, the very least that Chloe can do is try and help solve the fire for Max. So she makes a plan to go and talk to suspects at the Snapping Turtle. Now, over at the Snapping Turtle, Max is planning to meet up with Safi.
In the flesh.
Putting aside everything that just happened, I'm really glad to see you. The real you.
Oh. I do not deserve you, Max Caulfield.
Now, if when Yasmin asked if you had seen Safi, if you kept Safi's secret, she will say this.
Even so, I do appreciate you keeping my cameo in your class to yourself. That's why all us students go gaga for you, Professor.
And if you told Yasmin you had seen her around campus, Safi will say this.
Is that why you told my mom I was here? Either you're terrible at taking a hint or you're just a terrible friend.
She wasn't supposed to say anything. She promised.
Aha! Option 3. A terrible judge of character. You really thought a promise from my mom meant anything?
Then Safi will say this line that I'm not too sure about.
The sad truth is, I'm here for you. Don't give me that dewy-eyed look. I can't decide if it makes me want to kiss you or murder you.
So there's a couple lines in this game where Safi says very romantically longing things about Max. And me personally, I don't know. I feel like we don't have time for this. We didn't explore that in Double Exposure. In my opinion, I don't even think it was hinted at. So it's just coming off as a weird and a little too much too late. Again, this game is all about Max and Chloe. We don't have time for Safi to partly profess these feelings of longing that I guess she has for Max. Because, you know, for one thing, they're one-sided, but also this game is really struggling to manage all the relationships that it fostered in Double Exposure, and it mostly leaves a lot of them behind in favor of Max and Chloe. And I do have mixed feelings about that, because Max and Chloe shine in this game, and everything else is secondary. And I mean everything else. Even this conversation between the two of them is about to be monstrously overshadowed by the boat scene, which if you haven't played the game, but you've watched any promotional trailer, you know the boat scene is going to be like a huge Max and Chloe moment.
Everyone here has forgotten what happened in the storm, but I'm still living it. Do you even know?
Your power went haywire. You broke into pieces. I had to pull you together.
And then what? Think. Where did you go in there?
So Safi walks Max through what really happened during that storm last year, and it's essentially explained that when Max was in that weird liminal space, she retreated back into certain comfort zones and areas that she knew from her life, including motels that she's been to, as well as the Overlook and the Lighthouse. What the game is essentially trying to tell us here is that when that storm happened with Safi, in a weird way, it was also connected to the original storm in Arcadia Bay. Max even says it felt like they were the same storm, and possibly in some timey-wimey way, maybe this game is trying to infer that they are. But really what the meat and the bones of this situation is Safi's situation with her storm became connected to Chloe's situation and their storm because of Max. Max's mind essentially took these two cosmic events and put them together, and now this is why Safi and Chloe's fates are intertwined. And Safi, who understands this, is incredibly resentful and bitter because Chloe has taken priority here and Safi has been left in the wake essentially as collateral damage. And you know what? She's got a good point, because not only is that what happened here, but that's also literally what's happening with Reunion, how Safi's character actually did get sidestepped for bringing back Chloe in. I guess there's kind of a metatextual narrative going on here.
The moment you saw her, she was all that mattered. You forgot all about me.
I went into the storm to save you.
Of course you did. You're Max fucking Caulfield, Space-Time's golden girl. You'll always try to save everyone and everything you can. Chloe and I may be here now, but a part of us, maybe the part that really matters, remains trapped in that nightmare.
I thought I was beginning to understand my powers. But you're right. I've been naive to think I could ever really know them.
Then Safi confronts Max about what she has been up to and what she is investigating, and players are given the choice whether or not to tell Safi. If you choose to be forthcoming, you'll get this interaction.
This campus is going to burn to the ground tomorrow, unless I stop it.
How do you... Oh, I see.
Then you can understand why I am using my powers and doing everything I can to figure out how it starts.
If you saw this campus burn down, then it means it was supposed to happen. Who are you to stop it?
What are you saying? I can't just let it burn.
Reality is cruel, but it's still reality. It doesn't bend to your will.
Choosing to be forthcoming with Safi will also make things a little easier with her in a different scene later on in the game, and if you choose to keep the truth from Safi, she will react like this.
No, not this time. I do care about you, Safi, but I don't trust you.
This will make a certain goal with Safi later on in the game harder to obtain. More on that later.
But deceived him. Like you tried to deceive me.
You don't like it when I use my power? Fuck, do you even realize what a hypocrite you are?
If you told Safi's mother about her whereabouts, then Safi will get a call from her mother and take it, ending the conversation with Max. If you kept Safi's secret, then Safi will get a call from Diamond and then also have to leave the conversation. This is one of those annoying illusion of choice things. Like, for some reason, I get why her mother would call her because of your actions, but also having the conversation randomly end with, and then Diamond calls her is just, you know, I guess they just couldn't think of a different way to wrap this up. But now that this conversation is over, players are put back in control of Chloe, and Chloe has some investigating to do in the Snapping Turtle. Chloe's first task is getting Lucas to tell her more about the protest, and it's shockingly easy.
This is the forum we're using to organize. All of the planning is done there.
Chloe can then try and get Joey to talk about the protest. We know that he's in charge of it, but he ain't saying shit.
Here, you're the guy to ask about the protest.
No clue what you're talking about.
So instead, you have to get onto the forum by finding the password which someone tried to burn but didn't quite manage to, and then bringing that information to Amanda, where the two of you will look at the private forum together. This is a pretty good little mini puzzle here, because essentially what happens is you have to read over the key parts of what's on the forum, try to determine which user is who, and then use that information when you talk to Joey to pretend to be somebody else on the forum, so he will feel comfortable telling you the truth. Chloe, ever the top tier band manager, also takes this opportunity to ask about the Snapping Turtle booking drugstore makeup. And Chloe and Amanda have this really cute music nerd exchange, and I really, really like it, and it shows how these two get along really easily. You love to see it.
If you're looking to book any shows this month, my band is headed east soon.
Oh, you're in a band.
Oh, I manage them. Drugstore Makeup. They're a mathcore synth-pop art punk band.
Oh, sweet. So, like, the Minutemen mixed with a little Fall of Troy.
Yeah. Spot on.
Send me their stuff. I'll see if there's a date that works.
Chloe can also speak to that guy who originally harassed her. It turns out his name is Ren, and he gives Chloe some key information about the protest, namely that Joey is in charge, and also a hint about where she can find the password. We also learn a little bit more about Ren and his personal backstory.
What do you do when you're not getting in fights with strange women at bars?
I used to pull shifts at Kreller's before that closed. Now I'm trying to get a job at the timber mill where my dad worked.
What happened to him?
He skipped out on us when I was pretty young. Don't know where he went.
Sounds like an asshole. In my experience, no dad beats asshole dad every time.
Good to know.
I mention this now because it will actually play some importance later on. Surprisingly, I actually missed this entire interaction at the Snapping Turtle my first time around, so when this character ended up having a certain level of importance in the plot, I was like, what? Turns out he was in the middle section too. I missed it. This part's entirely optional. So now Chloe must use the information that she's gleaned from the forum to win a backtalk challenge against Joey, and if you win, he will say this.
All right, you're good. Hate to be so paranoid, but you know how it is. We muster here, noon tomorrow, and then head straight for the admin building. And prepare yourself. This reckoning has been a long time coming. Things could get heated.
And if you lose, he will say this.
I'm not into all that blah 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 bullshit. I went to campus to get a head start beating up nerds.
I would be concerned if I actually believed you, which I don't. I don't know what your deal is. If whatever message board you're talking about exists, I'm sure you can find any information there. Meantime, I'd be careful about running your mouth and asking so many questions.
Afterwards, Max and Chloe reunite, and if Chloe won the backtalk challenge, she will say this to Max.
Did you turn up anything about the protest?
Yeah, it's not good. There's a whole message board of angry locals descending on campus tomorrow. I don't think anyone can stop it.
And if Chloe lost the backtalk challenge with Joey, she will say this to Max.
Yeah, it's not good. There's a whole message board of angry locals descending on campus tomorrow. I don't think anyone can stop it.
Can you spot the difference? There is no difference. It turns out, whether you win or lose, you have all the information you need to know from the forum. So the backtalk challenge with Joey actually doesn't fucking matter at all. You'd think that you'd have to win the challenge to learn the explicit information that the protest is happening tomorrow, but no, you learn it from the forum. I have looked up what happens when you lose the backtalk challenge, and I have found no other answers. But I know from the 2 scenes that I'm looking at here, there is fundamentally no difference. So just to be clear, Chloe has 3 backtalk challenges in this game, and 2 of them don't affect plot at all. Only one of them affects the plot, and it's really important. We're gonna get there. The other 2 actually don't. So that's really disappointing and stupid. I was really expecting this situation to go different when you failed the backtalk challenge with Joey. You think that would be really important because he's organizing this whole event, but no. Anyways, Max has learned that Sophie has a mask for the Abraxas party that she's going to use as a disguise to get in, so Chloe has the clever idea of just running over and snatching it from Sophie and then making Max use her rewind powers so they can have it. This scene is a little weird to me because Chloe runs off screen and then we hear Sophie off screen.
Yoink. Bitch, you did not just...
What the fuck? Here, take the mask before she comes back and beats my ass.
It's very Looney Tunes. I know that a lot of people find this scene really funny, and I guess it is. I just find it really fucking weird. It's the weirdness of the action happening entirely off screen. It just feels like another strange cost-cutting measure.
Sophie had an Abraxas mask in her bag. We have it now, thanks to you.
So many questions. But for now, I think we better run before she realizes she's missing it. And I have just the getaway.
So now, Chloe and Max get on a boat to have some nice alone time out on the water. This was a heavily promoted scene. It's on the cover of the collector's box, and you can tell a lot of time and love went into this scene. And it is one of the best scenes in the game. Again, I know I've said it, I'll say it one more time. The Max and Chloe stuff is overall very well done, all things considered. Not to be a dick, but if I had my personal choice, I wish they'd just never done new Max and Chloe stories. I do wish Life is Strange 1 had just remained that and we'd kept going with anthologies. But considering how much of a shit show that double exposure was, a scene like this is amazingly refreshing and so good by comparison. This scene also brings back one of my favorite musical artists to appear in this series. The song Isolation by Daughter off their latest album appears during this scene, and I cannot tell you how happy that made me. But also I cannot play it for copyright, so instead, here's the disable copyright music version. Out on the water, Max and Chloe catch each other up on everything they know.
So, I know President Teller was the one who ordered the demolition last night. And I'm pretty sure Reggie was involved somehow. He's the president of Abraxas.
Double presidential crime. 2 for the price of 1.
There's a secret occultist party at the Abraxas house tonight. Sophie must be going. That's why she had the mask.
And now we have it. Next stop, freaky college party.
And then the 2 of them reminisce on their relationship, where they've been since they've been apart from each other. And of course, this will have many variations based on whether or not Chloe lived or Chloe died.
But it seems like chaos always finds me.
I shouldn't have come here. You don't need my mess dumped on top of all the other shit you're dealing with.
I don't really know how any of this shit works. But somehow, with all this crazy stuff happening, you're here now. And I know it's because you needed me. But I think I needed you just as much. And I wasn't brave enough to realize it.
If you chose the romanced Amanda option, Max and Chloe can also have this conversation about her.
Okay, so Amanda. I get it.
Uh-huh.
Seriously. She's cute. Funny. Not a walking paradox of existence. I like her.
Well, good. I always thought you two would be friends.
Oh. So you were thinking of me the whole time you were with her?
That's not what I said. But sure.
You, as Chloe, can also optionally ask about Safi and her state of mind, and this leads to a really, really heartfelt exchange between Max and Chloe.
I told her about the fire. Her reaction was disturbing. She blames me for what's happening to her and to you. And I think she's right. What's scary is that I didn't even know I was using my powers this time. And I still created a mess.
Look, I don't know, Safi, but from what I can tell, she was plenty fucked up before you ever met her. Yes, your powers are weird, and sometimes freak me out too. But there isn't a single person in the world I would trust with them more than you.
I think I needed to hear that. Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Another incredible thing about this scene too is, remember how I showed you that if you look at the 3D printer and comment on the calendar that you can make a gift for Max? Well, this is the scene where you get to give her that gift, and this just, this melts my heart. This is what it's all about.
Now that Super Max is back in action, I thought she needed her own badass action figure. Happy birthday!
This is incredible! With everything going on, I barely remembered today was my birthday.
Good thing my ass is here then.
I'm not saying this scene alone makes the whole game worth it, but it is possibly the strongest scene in the game, and does mean a lot to me. And now, for our magnum opus finisher, players are given the choice whether to kiss Chloe or to hold her hand. If you choose to hold her hand, shocker, you'll hold her hand and you'll just enjoy the silence together, and then the scene will be over. And it's very lovely and understated and done with a certain amount of subtlety that Deck 9 is not often capable of. Nice. If you choose to kiss Chloe, though, and I think this is really clever. I really, really love what they've done here, and I know many people have too. If you try to kiss her, you will become unbalanced and you will fall over, so you will have to rewind, and you will be given the option again. If you choose to try and kiss her a second time, it will happen again. So when you rewind now for the second time, you won't be given the option, and instead, Max will hold her hand. But Chloe, who knows Max inside and out, knows that something is up. So she says this.
Max Caulfield. Did you try to kiss me?
What? How did you know?
Again, I do know you a little bit. So what happened?
I fell into the lake.
Wait, how many times did you try?
Twice. Both were a disaster. It seemed like the perfect moment. But I guess not.
Well, we'll just have to find the next perfect moment, won't we?
This is so funny and so cute. It is ridiculously adorable. This really is one of my new favorite Max and Chloe scenes ever. This may not be the most perfect game, but you really got to admit the one thing that they dedicated themselves to was telling a story with Max and Chloe together that gets it right and tries to stay true to the nature of their relationship. And I wholeheartedly think, for the most part, they have accomplished that with this game. So props.
So, what's next? Change into black robes?
Black shirts, going by the old photo. Then we head over to Fremont Street.
And look for smoke.
Max and Chloe arrive at the Abraxas house for the Maybon party. Although you might have a little bit of a hard time telling that this is the Abraxas house right now. You may have noticed it's really, really bright. This is a massive bug that was present on day 1 and was only recently patched out. I have seen countless comments about this. I have seen countless videos on Reddit. I even conducted a poll on my channel asking people if they got this bug when the game freshly came out, and 192 people said that they had. It's not the majority, but that's definitely a lot. You'll see that I actually reloaded to my last checkpoint, restarted the scene, and it was still there. I restarted the scene again, and it was still there. I had to totally exit out of the game and go back to it to fix this bug. Some people didn't even know they could do that and played apparently the whole Maybon party scene with this giant flashbang bug. By far the biggest and most common bug in this entire game. Just, you know, just nutty.
This is it. It could all start tonight.
We know that Reggie kid is up to something. Think you can get me another Eyes Wide Shut mask so we can sleuth together?
You're on.
Now, if you chose not to rewind on Loretta in the library after she found out about the Maybon party, you'll actually find her here.
Oh, hey Max. Thought that was you.
I'm trying to find Reggie. Haven't seen him yet.
Me neither. At least, I don't think I have.
I'm gonna check out the house. Maybe you should do another round out here before people get too drunk.
I've never had a partner before. It's like Woodward and Bernstein. I call Woodward.
You got it.
Max will see the big bonfire and make this comment.
Could this be the fire that starts everything? I could douse it right now. But I'd blow my cover.
She'll also look around at all the very witchy, occult-like things at this party.
Don't you dare start moving. Leave it to Abraxas to turn eggs into something that screams death cult.
Including this new terrifying version of the Abraxas logo, which involves a secret that Max must solve in order to get inside. Once inside, Max will find a partier who is passed out, and now she has the mask that she needs to give to Chloe. Reggie will also find her and offer her a drink. The player does not have the option to say no. You'll understand why shortly. And then Max and Reggie will do Max's famous little dance from Life is Strange 1. I don't know whether to laugh or just go, huh? Then players must have a very long, drawn-out conversation with Reggie to get the pertinent information from him, so I'm just going to boil it down to what the player needs to know.
Owen's been getting pushed around by the board. Some of them are former Abraxas. In return for their support, they told him to destroy the innermost secret.
The what?
The innermost secret. Located in the Hall of Secrets. In the basement. It's the most sacred place in Abraxas. There's a code to get in, and it's nonsense. Shit. Did I leave my notes down there?
Once Max has all the information that she needs, we go back to Chloe.
I've been to plenty of bonfires. And a handful of pagan parties, thank you, Portland. But a secret society pagan bonfire, that's a new one for me. This Vermont air, so fucking peaceful. Peace and calm. The kind of calm that makes you think about the endless void of non-existence.
Here.
Jesus!
Sorry. I think you should check out the basement. The door password is Basilisk.
So, split up? Meet at the bonfire when we know more?
I just want you to know, I'm so excited to make these memories with you.
Yeah, starting to wonder what was in that drink. Chloe goes down to the basement, and there is a whole ass puzzle segment here where you have to go around the entire room and find the pertinent information to get this secret door open. And once you get it open, you find this secret room that has a shrine to the woman who started what will become the Abraxas Society, as well as some pictures of partygoers from a previous Maybon party. It all seems a little innocuous. Before Chloe has a chance to fully dig into it, though, she hears Reggie coming. But then just as Reggie is coming, somebody in an Abraxas mask with a giant sledgehammer is coming towards Reggie. Chloe is given the option to distract or confront, and it literally does not matter which you choose, the guy will run away. Then Reggie will say this,
"Are you the innermost secret?"
God, how drunk are these kids?
But when Chloe returns to that secret room, she'll see that an entire section of it has been knocked through, and there is a giant wooden box in there. Back outside, we start to see that Max is getting a little loopy. She's hearing some unusual things around the party.
Do you guys think my dad is mad at me?
Memento eram mori. Eum renasci et herumque eram mori.
She sees the fireflies and she makes this comment.
You don't have to turn on your love lights for me. I love you anyway.
Bringing up the fireflies again made me think that maybe they're going to have a big significance later on. They don't. In her ever-elevated state of mind, Max looks at the Abraxas logo, and Hanatel delivers what has got to be the funniest fucking line in this game.
So, did the snake fuck a rooster, or?
The way she delivered that little giggle, I laughed so fucking hard. Max keeps thinking that she's seeing Safi, so players kind of have to do this weird traversal puzzle where the landscape keeps changing and NPCs and furniture keep moving around. It's a fairly creative scene. Max also has this optional podcast that she can listen to, and if you look at the poster, it's called the Max Cast. In Max's delusional state of mind, she imagines a podcast about her, but it's only drawing on all the negative things. This is really creative, but also really, really funny.
Welcome back to MaxCast, the #1 source for all your Max Caulfield updates. Let's play a round of Classic Caulfield. Oh, I've got a good one. Despite being a professional photographer, Max still doesn't know how to work the flash on her cell phone camera. Classic Caulfield. We're gonna take a quick ad break. Afterwards, we'll have an interview with Tim De Silva, a Lakeport waiter who says that Max only tipped him 12% on her meal last week. Shocking!
You know, I do think Reunion may actually be the funniest Life is Strange. And hey, that's a net positive in my opinion. Max finds her way back inside the party, and this party scene actually plays a song by LCD Sound System, another band that I love. But copyright, blah, 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 you know the drill, so instead, disable copyright version. Here we go. This game may have some audio bugs and some unpolished audio mastering, but this scene is not one of them. For my third playthrough, I disabled music entirely, and I am so glad that I did, because listen to this sound with just the sound effects. There's a fucking giggling baby in the background. This was really, really well done. This is some fantastic sound mixing. It gets an A++ from me. I think this is easily the most creative sequence in the game. I think the cinematography is good. I think it's creepy and it's fun and it's weird. And it does a pretty good job of showing somebody tripping. Max starts to get woozy, so she sits down, and then this is where she starts having a conversation with a version of herself in the mirror, and this exchange might just be one of my favorite moments in this game.
Oh, great. It's you. That kind of negative self-talk isn't good for you.
You've already bent, broken, and skull-fucked reality trying to save her. I know I can't stop you. So do what you want. Nuke the school. Flatten the eastern seaboard. But please, try not to give yourself false hope, okay? Because you already know how this ends.
Max rushes downstairs to find Chloe okay, and then when Chloe asks her what's going on, Max says possibly the cutest thing that somebody who's accidentally tripping balls could say.
Ooh, what happened to you?
I think I'm allergic to fruit punch. Either way, we should stay down here until those bowling balls go home.
Max is so goddamn cute in this game. Hannah Tell is doing an A++ job, but especially in this scene. This whole scene is so damn funny, and then this whole conversation we're about to see here between Max and Chloe is so beautiful and so sincere.
It's all gonna be okay. I'm right here.
For now. That's how it works. You drive your truck back into my life. We have a few incredible days together. And then you're gone. We're doomed.
We are not doomed. We're Max and Chloe. No one should ever have to make the kind of choice you made back then. We were so young. And you had to be so brave for so long. I don't know if the school will still be standing tomorrow. I don't know how much time But it doesn't matter. Who fucking knows what will happen next? But it will happen to us, okay? Because I'm not going anywhere.
I'm glad that in all the craziness and chaos of everything that's going on, we got to have this really beautiful, intimate moment between the two of them. Although I don't quite understand why Max sees fireflies. So this is now the third time we're seeing fireflies and the final time. This is not explained. You could just chalk it up to Max is high, so she's seeing them. But then the question is still, why did fireflies guide her to the back door? There is a theory. There is one theory about what's going on here. We will talk about that near the end of the game, although I don't personally think the theory holds a ton of weight. I don't know. You'll see what I mean. So, Chloe cracks open the box, and it turns out there is a body in there, an honest-to-God skeleton. Now we understand why Owen was so intent on demolishing Abraxas. Obviously, he has something to do with trying to hide some kind of a death or a murder. Whoever it was that originally came in with that sledgehammer comes back to finish the job, so Max and Chloe hide, and in Max's hallucinogenic state, the skeleton starts talking to her.
Get ready, Max. They'll come for you next.
Shh. This interaction is also really cute. Max shushing the skeleton and then Chloe having to shush Max so she doesn't break their cover. That is some classic Max and Chloe hijinks. Now, if they had just given us about 12 more of these, this game might have been a bit more comparable to the first one, but I digress. Max and Chloe get out of the basement where they run into Safi. If you told her about the fire, she'll actually have called the cops because she assumes that maybe the bonfire is the thing that burns stuff down. So Safi does, in fact, care. If you didn't tell Safi about the fire, then this will actually be Reggie calling 911. So this is one of those annoying illusion of choice things where if you told Safi about the fire, then Safi will call 911 to try and stop the fire. And if you didn't tell her about the fire, then Reggie will call 911 because he's really high and scared of the man with the sledgehammer. So two events completely unrelated to each other that converge on the exact same ending. That is something we are going to talk about later in this game when they do something else really stupid like this with Safi, where two completely different choices that would have completely different outcomes have the exact same outcome. And it's frustrating. And just when Max and Chloe think that maybe everything is all over, they turn around and they see this.
I don't think we stopped anything.
Chilling, yes, but also I cannot get past the fact that this graffiti is the cleanest, most plain font ever. It's the journals all over again. And the reason why this one really pisses me off is if you recall in Not Episode 1, remember when you had that Secret Wine Challenge where you could erase that graffiti that was talking about Owen Teller? Okay, so here's what graffiti saying get rid of the head of the school looks like, and here's what graffiti threatening to murder everyone looks like. One of these looks legitimate, and one of these almost looks like Comic Sans. Now, if it was my personal choice and I was working on this game and I had two sets of graffiti and only one of them could look menacing, maybe I would have chosen the one that literally says, "You're all gonna burn." So yeah, I really liked the drama of this reveal, but also the dramatic presentation is lacking. No menacing villain is gonna write, "You're all gonna burn" in Comic Sans. For our final not episode of Reunion, Chloe and Moses bring Max to the observatory to sleep it off, which is a choice. You would think that maybe if your friend were to be accidentally dosed with a powerful hallucinogenic at a party against their will, maybe you would, I don't know, crazy idea off the top of my head, take them home since they live on campus, maybe put them in their bed, maybe get them some fucking water and a bucket, or, second idea coming to mind, if you're Chloe and Moses, take her to a fucking observatory, stick her in an uncomfortable upright seat, put on a star show with a whole voiceover by Moses, and I'm sure that'll be just as good, if not better. I understand why we're here. It's because of the dramatic presentation of this game. They want to have a cool scene with Max and Chloe at the observatory because we're tired of the snapping turtle and the fucking alumni hall and the foyer and Max's lodging. So here we are, and this is one of those things. This is just, this is a hallmark of Deck 9, which is choosing something that is visually pleasing over even the slightest bit of sense. Why would they take her here? Her fucking house is on campus. And if your friend was tripping on drugs, obviously you'd want to take them to a comfortable space like their house. I don't know what the narrative is trying to even do here by saying that they thought this would be a good place to put her. The excuse is fucking razor thin. Anyways, now that we've gotten that complete lack of logic out of the way, here's another new complete lack of logic. Chloe shows Max the photo and says that if you look at the photo, you can see that the fire is still happening, but it's shifted. And again, like I said at the start of this video, this Polaroid is the exact same throughout the entire game. So go figure how looking at it now is somehow giving Max and Chloe completely new information. It's really, really obvious this photo was meant to change, and they just didn't have time, didn't dedicate someone to do it, or completely forgot. Take your fucking pick. Max places her hand on the photos from the Abraxas house, and they start magically glowing. And this is when Max realizes that she has a whole different version of her power that she can use with photos. And here's what that looks like. So essentially what we're looking at is Max's special new power is she can take photos and then put them up on a big screen, like a projector, at school. No, the photos aren't moving. No, the photos haven't come to life. No, Max can't step inside them, but they're just big in the air. Big photos in the air at the observatory. That's Max's impressive new power. And you can hear audio from it. Once more, I also feel pretty certain this was meant to be something else, something more. The way that Max and Chloe react to this, you'd think that they had stepped inside the world and are walking around and hearing and seeing things from those photos, which is fucking what this scene should be. Instead, it's the exact same photos just blown up on a big screen and then you hear some voices. Oh, dog, that is so cheap. That is so cheap. This could be such a cool scene, but it feels like a fucking rough cut. Also, going back to audio bugs, this is that other scene with huge audio bugs where every time a character inside one of these photos stops talking, you just hear this hard fucking cut on sound.
Hey man, senior members only.
Holy shit, it's real. Just stay cool. Stay cool.
I don't even know if that guy was a member. Never seen him in my life.
These fucking masks.
This scene, to me, is the cheapest fucking scene in this whole game. It really feels like they did a first draft and they just ran with it. So yeah, big dramatic reveal, kind of hindered by the fact that I feel like I'm playing a demo here. So what Max and Chloe learn from these PowerPoint presentations are that back in the day, Abraxas used to have real knives at their sacrificial parties. They also still had hallucinogenics. And basically what happened was a Lakeport local snuck in, got all fucked up on the hallucinogenics, and then killed themselves. And now it's very clear that people at Abraxas helped cover it up. How does this factor into the fire? Well, that part is not quite clear yet. So Max, Moses, and Chloe come together to review all of the evidence. This feels very similar to that sequence from the first Life is Strange where you have to look at the evidence board and then put together all the pieces, except that you don't actually have to put together the pieces here. You just have to look at all three boards. And then once you look at all three boards, the characters will just be like, aha, and you'll come to your conclusions. So no real detective work needed here for the player. No work at all, in fact.
Okay, what do we know about the fire?
We know it centers around the Abraxas house, either because of the body, or Owen's plans, or both.
Just because the fire happened one way before doesn't mean it'll play out the same way now. I think at this point we have to consider the fire might be a constant. Furthermore, every step we take to stop the fire, even something as small as this conversation, is likely to shake the snow globe again and change what causes it.
There's one giant variable that wasn't in your equation last time. Me. We know reality is obsessed with mind-fucking me right now. Maybe whatever is going on with me and Safi will, I don't know, cancel out the fire?
And now players must choose whether or not to tell Chloe about her death that Max saw in the fire. This unfortunately does not really have big consequences, it just has dialogue tweaks. And that is unfortunate. This game does have some legitimately awesome actions and consequences, especially for a Deck 9 game. This part just isn't really one of them.
Last reality, you were here. You came to find me and I was gone, but I guess you met Moses.
How do you know?
'Cause I saw you. You were passed out from the smoke. Moses was carrying you.
Oh. Why didn't you tell me?
I've been so focused on you and us and stopping this fire. I didn't want to derail it all.
There is only one thing to do when reality fucks you this hard. I'm gonna go smoke.
Nothing. I'm just worried about you. We still haven't gotten to the bottom of your issues.
Honestly, I never expected to live this long anyway. You saved my life already. Now you're going to save it again. And everyone else's. Trust me. I need a smoke. Meet me outside?
So whether you told Chloe or not about her fate, she will be outside anxiously smoking, and the two of them will talk game plan. Max is going to Owen's office to try and get a confession out of him, and Chloe's going to go to the Snapping Turtle to try and figure out who in this protest may actually be the agitator at hand. But before they part, players are given the choice once again to kiss Chloe. And this time, players actually get to succeed.
We'll get through this, Max. This isn't another goodbye.
And another really funny, in my opinion, really clever use of Max's rewind power here. I didn't even think to do this. After you kiss, if you rewind, you'll have this exchange.
No way that was the first kiss. It was too perfect.
You're right. I wanted to live in this moment a little longer.
Well, don't take this one away from me, okay? We'll get through this, Max. This isn't another goodbye.
At the Snapping Turtle, Chloe has to talk to 3 people, and basically in this order. First, she talks to Lucas, who doesn't have any concerns about violence at the protest, but also says that if there was any concern, it would really be on Joey. So he points her in the direction of Joey, who is outside. Chloe talks to Joey outside, and he tells her that he's happy that she's there, and he's annoyed / disappointed / angry that Ren, who's inside, has decided to chicken out. Why Ren decides to conveniently stick around, even though he's not going through with it, is up for you, the player, to decide whether or not that's a huge plot convenience, but whatever. Now players must go to Ren and talk to him. You'll instantly see that he's got spray paint cans, so we can deduce that he's the one who's been graffitiing the school. Spray paint cans also make a great explosive, so make of that what you will. And Chloe must win her 3rd and final backtalk challenge in order to get this reaction out of Ren.
But just because some deadbeat ran out on you before you were born doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole.
Don't talk about my dad! Caledon deserves everything that's coming to it and more. It's thanks to people like you that my dad is dead today.
Why? What happened? Holy shit. The Abraxas house. You're the one who wrote that graffiti. Your dad?
My dad went to a party and never came home. Caledon has been ducking my family ever since.
Ren, listen to me. I know what happened.
Fuck off.
This reaction is extremely telling, but if you lose, you won't really get anything out of Ren.
Whatever your mouth-breathing friends online are telling you, your failures to get laid are not because of some alpha male conspiracy.
That's great advice. Thanks. Maybe you can be my wingman sometime.
So when I played this game for the first time, I lost this challenge with Ren. So afterwards, when you have to go to Noelle and you have to point the finger at somebody, your options being Joey, Lucas, and Ren, I initially chose Lucas, and I was so wrong. And here's where in our final chapter, things start to split off in a bunch of different directions. Because pointing the finger towards Ren will hugely change the trajectory of the ending. More on that very soon.
It's a vendetta about his father. He believes Caledon has been covering up his death. I actually think he's right.
Okay. I will alert the security team and keep a close eye on him. Thanks.
Max shows up to Owen's office, where her and Vin overhear Owen and Yasmin having a fight.
They told me you were a snake in the grass. I should have listened.
Stop being so dramatic. You knew what kind of risk you were taking. You go and muck up the whole thing, and suddenly it's my fault?
Owen leaves, and then Vin turns into Safi. Safi shows a photo of Yasmin in the Abraxas Society, and Max discovers that Yasmin was there when that guy died. So we now know that she is directly involved, and Safi was essentially the one to put this together. Max makes an offer for her and Safi to go straight to the authorities and report it, and instead, Safi counters with this.
I have a better offer. Let's leave. Right now, let's pack up the car and get the fuck out of here. We can be in New York by sundown. From there, who knows?
So this is another one of those really romantically longing scenes where I'm not really on board with it because, like I said, we don't have time for this, but also I genuinely do not feel that the first game properly set this up. Double Exposure did not set up some kind of star-crossed, forlorn lover thing here, and Safi is just coming off as both really left field and desperate. Maybe you buy it, but I don't. It just doesn't feel right. What it feels like to me is the writer of this game is trying to add comparable stakes for Safi, because again, this is a Max and Chloe fest. So they're trying to add Safi into the mix where if Safi wants Max to run away with her, then it creates this more melodrama and tragedy for her. If that doesn't work out, and it doesn't work out, I just think it's just a little too late. We don't really properly have time to explore this, and I just sort of don't buy it. Safi is a very strong-willed character. I don't see her suddenly becoming sad and desperate that Max wouldn't want to run away with her. The Safi that I know knows that Max wouldn't want to run away with her. Also because at the end of the first game, you had to choose whether to put your trust in Safi or not, and whether you do or don't, she'll beg you to run away with her. So again, this feels totally unearned, left field, and it just doesn't work for me.
I should be enough for you. Please, I'll be good. I won't shapeshift. I won't lie. Just please. I don't want to be alone.
Safi.
Fine. Enjoy playing the hero. Just don't act surprised when you make everything worse again.
Then Max goes into the office to talk to Yasmin, and we get the worst fucking scene in this whole game. Or at the very least, it's the scene that I hate the most. And the reason that I hate the most is it's almost 15 minutes of talking, and you have to rewind so many times. You talk to her for like 40 seconds, and then you rewind, and then you talk to her for a minute, and then you rewind, and then you talk to her for a minute and a half, and then you rewind, and then you talk to her for 2 minutes, and then you rewind, and you have to do this 5 or 6 times until you finally get to the point of this fucking conversation. So for the sake of my sanity, because I never want to see or play this scene again, here is the conclusion of this dog shit scene.
So, this is a rare treat. What would you like to discuss?
I know about the body in the Abraxas house. And I know you've been trying to cover it up. I might not agree with all of your decisions, but I would like to understand.
That poor child's death decades ago? It was the crisis that taught me who I am. I am the one everyone turns to when there's a problem that must be solved. I await the upcoming inspection to turn up the horrible evidence of my crime, and I will face up to it.
Sure, Jan.
Right now, what I care about is stopping another catastrophe. Which will happen, unless you tell me the whole truth about the body.
I understand that you do not trust me. But if this crisis is truly coming, then you must go and look for it elsewhere. Good luck, Max.
Now that Max fully understands that Yasmin is behind this, wow, what a twist. Wait a second, isn't that how the first game ended? Oh, I guess we don't care. I guess we don't. Why? Why is the twist of this game the same twist as the first one? We already don't trust her mother, so what even about this is even supposed to feel like a twist? The twist is that Owen was just one of Yasmin's pawns? That's not even juicy. I don't even give a shit. Owen was just a white suited asshole. Like, he was just so generic. But this doesn't even make Yasmin a more interesting villain. We already knew she was kind of a lying piece of shit from the first one, and she lost her job at the end of the first one. So why is she here, and why is she back here? You know why she's back here? Because it just makes things easier. Because the plot being able to just point to Yasmin being the one who's behind the whole Abraxas thing, I guess is easy. It's an easy way to write themselves out of this situation. Even though when you really think about it, it's also not really Yasmin's fault. That guy killed himself at the party. Yasmin was the only one who was adult enough to cover it up, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. I don't get what we're doing here, because this also kind of doesn't even have to do with the fire, which is the main mystery. It is and it isn't related. I'm talking in circles. Sorry, this scene just makes me so fucking angry because it's so long and so annoying, and Yasmin is not nearly a good enough character for us to spend 15 minutes rewinding just for her to confess. And also, it's total bullshit that she's like, oh my god, Max, now that you figured me out, well, I was just on my way to go confess. I can't believe you'd come in here and accuse me of doing the thing that I did, because I was already gonna go and confess my sins. Sure you were. Sure, girl. Sure. So now Max must point to somebody for trying to hide the body. And if you collected all optional evidence available to you throughout this game, the game will literally just tell you to pick Vin. No mystery, no actual player brain needed, just pick Vin. Vin did it. Obviously he did it. If the game's saying based on all of your evidence, Vin probably did it. And guess what? He fucking did. So cool, I guess. Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't understand why they made this game the way that they did. Do you know how much more interesting and consequential this very moment would be if it just didn't say, based on your evidence, Vin probably did it? If it actually made you choose? At the very least, even though it's pretty obvious that it was him, it would make you, the player, feel like you made that call. But instead, Deck 9 and Square Enix decide to hold your hand and literally tell you who to pick. Boy, does that frustrate me to no end, especially because all of the different directions your decisions right now are going in have really cool, interesting, and unexpected consequences for the very finale of this game. We're about to get into it. There's so many different directions, so many splintered outcomes of this finale, and it is genuinely impressive. You know, especially for it being a Deck 9 game. But why did they just tell us to choose Vin here? That's so stupid. Obviously, you're going to choose Vin. You're not going to be like, I'll bet you the game's trying to do one over on me, but I know Reggie did it. I know I've seen a lot of people complain about this online too, and I think we're all on the same page. Why the game is just telling you what to do instead of letting you come to your own conclusion is far beyond me, because there are actual consequences to making the wrong guess. I would understand if Deck 9 did this because there's no consequences to making the wrong guess, but there are consequences to guessing right or wrong here. So it would be cool if they'd actually trust the players enough to let them fail. You know what I'm saying? Back at the Snapping Turtle, Chloe and Moses are still really anxious because they're not sure if they really stopped the fire or not. So Moses comes up with a half-smart idea that even if the fire does happen, they need to work on mitigating the damage, because maybe if the fire is inevitable, then they're thinking about it the wrong way. It's not, do we stop the fire, but how do we create the least amount of damage and harm if the fire is going to happen? That part is smart. But then Chloe brings up this point.
You want to tempt fate that much? That's so incredibly hardcore. Max will be so pissed if we put ourselves in danger. But if she winds up in danger, we might be close enough to help.
Because you see, what's not so smart is Chloe and Moses deciding to go to the observatory rooftop, which is exactly where Max saw both of them die. Wildly stupid of them, in my opinion. I understand the train of thought, but couldn't they have thought of somewhere else to try and mitigate the damage rather than the one and only place Max saw both of them bite the bullet? Very stupid in my opinion, but we have to get them there because that's how the plot of this thing goes. We need them to go in the place that Max has seen them, because this isn't a game unlike the first one where there's all kinds of timelines and we get to see all sorts of crazy outcomes, and Max goes back and tries to save them and she fails, and then she tries a different way, and then she does this and she does this. No, we gotta wrap this shit up. So the two of them must go to the point where Max doesn't want them to go and is objectively the stupidest thing they could do with their time, especially because, as they already just said, they don't even know if the fire is or isn't happening. The safest and potentially smartest thing they could do is stay at the bar, but the plot would just simply not allow it. Back on campus outside, the protest has already started. Max asks Reggie where Vin is, and he will tell her that he is at the Abraxas house. Now, if you told Noelle that you think Ren was going to start the fire, Max will turn around to see Ren about to throw a Molotov cocktail, and then Noelle, the hero, will jump out and stop him. Amazing job, Noelle. Thank you very much. But if you did not accuse Ren, Max will turn around and see that Ren is already doing it. The way the scene looks is like a hairline difference. If you don't accuse Ren, you will miss the opportunity to stop Ren by like a second or two, which I actually like because that it just shows the inevitability of things. I also like that this is the exact point in the game where things start splitting off in a bunch of different directions, and you literally love to fucking see it, especially after double exposure where everything played out the same way no matter what. So yeah, very rewarding to see these two different versions that play out depending on your choices.
What if she's not? What if there's, I don't know, a stampede?
I sent out a mass email this morning with a copy of the school's fire escape plans. If something goes wrong, Hopefully people remember where to go.
On the rooftop, Moses and Chloe keep a lookout through Moses' telescope, and we learn that he sent an email out to the whole school showing the fire escape exits and warning them of a threat. Smart dude. And Chloe says this really touching line when she reads the email that Moses sent out.
I thought Max and Moses got along because they were both nerds. But now I think it's because they're both heroes.
Then Moses will direct Chloe to look through the telescope, and depending on your choices, you will either see the peaceful protest disbanding because Noelle caught Ren in time, or the fire actively happening on campus as well as at the Abraxas house. Either way, Max will flag Chloe down, and Chloe will go to meet her inside Moses' office, and then, depending on the choices that you've made, the next scene will either be Max running up to the burning campus or Max at the Abraxas house. And this is one of the more impressive choice-based elements of this game, because I can think of very few scenes in any of the Life is Strange games where, depending on the choices that you make, entire scenes either will or won't happen. So, if you both successfully accused Vin as well as successfully accused Ren, then and only then, when those conditions are met, Max will go to the Abraxas house to find Vin, attempting to get rid of the body.
I was just about to be done with it.
Moses, what would happen if you combined nitric acid with explosives?
Don't do that. That's a terrible idea.
Understood. But theoretically, would it start a fire?
Yes, if it reacted with the explosive agent, it could start a combustion chain. Big boom, scientifically speaking.
So now we, the players, understand that if we didn't accuse Vin, this is what made the Abraxas house explode, and this is how Vin died. Because you see, in the other version, you don't get to find out. And that's also why this game has good replayability, because you have to play it at least twice to see how most things shake out, and I really like that. Any good choice-based game should heavily incentivize you to play it at least twice, and this one does that. So fuck yeah, finally. This conversation with Vin will also be heavily affected by whether or not you romanced him. So there's a lot of different outcomes depending on what choice you made there.
Max will basically call Vin out.
Show me where you put the remains.
And he is like, whoa, how do you know that?
Do you have some kind of psychic power to fuck with me?
If you were friends only with Vin, then Max will immediately say,
something like that.
And that's it. And then in the same conversation, after they really talk through it, Max will then say,
I'm calling the police. Feel free to be somewhere else when they arrive.
If you were only friends with Vin, he will immediately respond with this.
I know you think you're above it all, but life is about making tough choices.
If Max correctly suspected Vin in that conversation where they talk about the remains, and he is like, whoa, how do you know this?
Do you have some kind of psychic power to fuck with me?
He's going to add a little something different.
No wonder I was attracted to you.
Something like that.
And then when Max says she's going to call the police, he also has a little bit more of a bond with her than he did if they were just friends. So he's a little bit more pleading.
I'm calling the police. Feel free to be somewhere else when they arrive.
Can't you trust me on this? After everything we've been through?
There is also this huge revelation here that I will be honest, I forgot about. I only played this scene once, so I'm just looking at the footage now and I'm like, whoa. I totally forgot that Yasmin actually confessed about the death at the Abraxas house to Vin, and then Vin took it upon himself to act, because he is loyal as fuck, which, I don't know, I guess is kind of an admirable quality. Vin doesn't have a lot of super admirable qualities, but if you can't hide a body for your boss, what kind of employee even are you? He's a good employee.
But then she just confessed. The party, the death, the cover-up, she spilled everything, but she was so resigned. Like all the fight had just left her. So I took it on myself.
Why? She said she was ready for the truth to come out.
The truth would destroy the school. I know you think you're above it all, but life is about making tough choices.
You don't get to tell me about tough choices. I have made tough choices. This isn't one. We know what happens when someone goes down this path. Just look at Yasmin. I'm giving you a do-over, Vin. Don't waste it.
So Max calls the cops, and then the next scene is going to depend on your choices. So if you're still in this version of things where Max just called the cops, the next scene will go to Chloe. But if you failed to accuse and then stop Vin, Max will show up on campus with everything on fire. She'll see Owen run into a building to go and try and save students. And then Max will also find Loretta trapped in the fab. So players must do a whole rewind sequence to get Loretta out of there. Also, a lot of people may not know this, but players also technically have the option to skip saving Loretta entirely, because the truth about the end of this game is there are quite a few people who can live or die based on your choices. This surprised the shit out of me. When you see at the end of this game how many people can die because of you, it's actually impressive how the branching of this works. And it just, man, it gave me this feeling the first time of, wow, that's so great. That's so impressive. I'm over the moon. It almost feels like Life is Strange is really back. But then the more I've thought about it, it also makes me go, so where the fucking Christ was this energy when Deck 9 made all the other Life is Strange games? Why does every other one just have this binary ending? Oh, stay in Haven or leave Haven. Wow, whoop-de-fucking-do. Meanwhile, Reunion is like, you can save or kill like 6 fucking people and then countless more students depending on what you do. And that's so awesome. But also, it's just bittersweet considering this is very, very, very likely the last thing that Deck 9 ever makes, so enjoy it while you can. So Chloe gets pulled into Moses's office by this version of Max who is very clearly Safi doing a bad impression of her. And then Safi essentially starts trying to convince Chloe to run away with her. First she went to Max and Max said no, and now she's going to Chloe, and Chloe of course says no too. Safi is getting real desperate. This feels out of character to me. I don't know. I mean, I can understand if she's grasping at straws for this point, but she's just never come across as so needy. In the first one, she was so strong-willed. In this one, she's so dependent on Max and Chloe in the most unusual way. She's not even looking for their help. She's just more looking for the comfort of their presence and companionship. I don't know. It's weird to me. They clearly struggled with how to make Safi part of Max and Chloe's story. And, you know, with mixed results. But here's where actually things get a little weird, and I know that players also kind of have a bone to pick with this thing that happens here, because there's 2 variations of this scene. If you failed to accuse Ren, which means that all 3 buildings in the game get set on fire, then this part of the conversation with Safi will look like this.
No! You can run all you want. The rest of your life, maybe. But I doubt it. Because at the end of the day... Shut up! We're dead.
But if you successfully accused Ren and then stopped Vin, Safi will pull out a cigarette and then throw it in the trash can. This is of course significant because essentially what's happening here is if you manage to stop Ren from starting the fire, then Safi will magically decide in this version of things to smoke a cigarette, even though fundamentally this conversation with Chloe is the same, so it shouldn't change whether or not Safi decides to smoke a cigarette. But if you manage to stop all the other fires, then Safi will decide to smoke a cigarette so that Safi can be the reason that the observatory burns down. Ooh. 2 thoughts about that. 1, the inevitability of things. Strong argument to be made that this works because the fire was inevitable. Moses himself theorized that. I suppose I can be on board with that. However, like I said, there is nothing that affects this scene between them, so why Safi magically decides to pull out a plot point and light it on fire doesn't really track for me. If you stopped Ren, then something else should have created a domino effect that leads to the fire anyways. Stopping Ren doesn't make Safi have a cigarette. Do you know what I'm saying? They just chose the wrong place to insert this. They chose the wrong thing here to make what the fire happens. I'm losing my fucking words here. It just doesn't totally track, okay? No matter what, Safi will pull Chloe into the overlight, this liminal space where their lives overlap because of their deaths, and Chloe walks into the lighthouse. Very visually pleasing scene. Again, everything in the overlight is really well done. I just wish more of the game had this sort of feel and polish and level of creativity. Inside the lighthouse, Chloe and Safi will have a long conversation, and you, the player, as Chloe, has to convince Safi that her life is worth living. Because inside this lighthouse is that version of Max that held a gun to Safi in double exposure. And then Safi says this line, which has mad implications for the canon of double exposure.
I mean, Max did point a gun at me. Let's be honest, she was never gonna shoot me. Such a tease. It's not her fault. I'll bet that night at the Overlook it wasn't even her finger on the trigger. Stop!
Yes, what you are hearing is Safi essentially revealing to the player that the person who shot Safi in double exposure is this version of Safi in the overlight. So in order to save Safi from herself, players must choose all the correct dialogue choices which will convince Safi that her life is worth living. And I'm also pretty sure that you as Max had to have told Safi about the fire, because this also establishes a level of trust.
She trusted you enough to tell you about the fire, and you trusted her enough to take her seriously. There's still hope for you two.
And I am also pretty sure that having kept Safi's secret about her being on campus from her mother, Yasmin, is a factor too. I really enjoy how that all comes together. The choices that you made with Safi earlier in this game will heavily affect your ability to save her now. That ties up really neatly. Congratulations, Deck 9. You guys finally got it right.
Safi, listen to me. You are the most stubborn, self-destructive person I've ever met, and that's saying something. But you were right when you said that we are together for a reason. We can save each other. You have to trust me.
And if you manage to say all of the right things, the two of them will quietly exit the overlight together. However, if you failed to establish trust with Safi as Max, and you do not answer all these questions correctly, Safi will do this.
Max may have smashed us together in her head, but we're not really the same at all. You actually deserve a second chance. Take care of her.
No!
And now we go back to Max, and players' actions in this scene will determine quite a few deaths. So, if you want everyone to live, you have to do all of this and in this order. First, you have to look at this poster board, which will tip you off to Jeanette's location. Then Max will meet up with the janitor, who tells her that he needs her to activate 3 shut-off valves so that he can use a fire hose. And then inside the janitor's closet, players must pick up a wrench, they must pick up this gas mask, and they must turn on the shower sprinklers in this room. Then players must go to Noelle and both tell her about Jeanette's location as well as give her the gas mask. Then players must shut off the 3 valves, but also, if you successfully accused Ren and Noelle caught him, there is an easy-to-miss conversation between the two of them.
You fucking asshole. Are you happy? Innocent people almost died because of you.
If people die, it's because Caledon is corrupt and evil, not me. You know when my only memory of my dad is from? The picture they put of him on the empty casket at his funeral.
Cool motive, still murder.
I found these yesterday. They've been sitting in a basement for decades, but they belong to you. Your dad died at a party. He had a bad trip, and he killed himself. All the students there were too concerned with saving their own asses to think about the people they were hurting. Photograph can't make up for losing your father. Just like attacking the school now won't bring him back. You deserve to know what happened to him.
All right, so now that Ren's story is concluded, let's talk about those fireflies, because there's really only one main theory going around, and that theory is that the fireflies are a representation of Ren's father, which explains why they would lead Max around the back and why she would see them when she's down in the Hall of Secrets because, well, that's where his body was buried. I personally don't think this is the explanation. I think it's just one of those visual things that Deck 9 likes to do that doesn't actually have meaning. But it is the best going theory and also the most coherent, so, I'll take it. Once Max has all of the valves shut off, she will run past this building where she will be given the opportunity to help open this door so that students in here can escape. And once all of those tasks are completed, Max will finally be reunited with the rest of the gang. Okay, we need to actually pause here and rewind for a second because something really significant just happened here and we need to talk about it. Look at this.
Is someone...
That was Max's rewind powers in real time. This is the first time we have ever seen what Max's rewind looks like to other people. And this also kind of broke my brain because it made me realize that when you look at it from the outside, Max doesn't look like she has time powers. Max looks like a teleporter. And the harder I thought about it, the more I couldn't get past the idea that you can't argue that she isn't. If this is what it looks like when she uses her powers, you tell me that she's not a teleporter. And when you start thinking about it that way, suddenly her rewind powers almost feel subjective. Like they're only rewind powers if you're her. I mean, I knew that was already the situation, but watching how she can just use her rewind powers to zip from location to location, seeing it from the outside also really makes you realize how fucking OP Max is, and that is a problem because now we are about to see her do that for a second time, again from an outsider perspective, and this one kind of damages the idea of Max's powers having stakes. So first what happens is Max's powers magically stop working. They're on the rooftop and everything's going bad and the ladder falls down, so Max holds out her hand and nothing happens. Somehow her powers are completely exhausted. Right?
You can't have come back to me just to end up here. It's not supposed to end like this.
And then, not 20 seconds later, Chloe gets blown off of a rooftop. And then we see this sequence of events. So while Chloe is falling in slow motion, suddenly Max gets her powers back after they just weren't working and then makes up for it by doing double time by zipping from here to here to here to here so that Chloe lands in a bed of leaves. It is not only a completely illogical scene, but also a huge tease for the audience to make you feel like you were witnessing Chloe die again. It's a very emotionally manipulative moment, and I can attest to that because the first time I played the game, it worked on me. Chloe says everything is going to be okay, and then she starts getting blown away by this explosion. So your rewind powers kick in, and the game makes you do a full rewind, except now the rewind is going really slow. And as Chloe slowly moves back up for you to grab her hand, she falls again. Your powers lapse. And then you try rewinding a second time, and it's even slower this time, and your hand gets closer and closer, and you as the player start to feel frustrated and scared and also confused, so very confused. And then your powers lapse again and Chloe starts falling. And now we're in Chloe's perspective and we look over and Max is just doing the most. Max is so OP. Max is a god now. She just went from her powers failing 4 times in a row to zipping 4 or 5 places in the span of less than a second. Think about it. The building is about 2 or 3 stories high. That would take approximately 1 second, maybe 1.5 to fall from it. And Max does all of this in that time span. But the way the scene is presented has legitimately great dramatic presentation. It cannot be denied. The drama of it, the slow motion, the music, the cinematography. Ooh, the cinematography got me good. But as soon as it was over and Chloe was in the leaves, I just thought to myself, hey, because it felt like someone playing a mean trick on me. One of those awful jokes where it's like when you think someone's about to say something racist or homophobic, but then at the end they say something that's meant to be the opposite, and you're like, oh, ha 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 ha. I was legitimately scared I was about to get jumped in the street. Good thing they were just teasing me. That's kind of what Deck 9 does here. They make you think that you're about to lose Chloe all over again, which they know is the one thing nobody would have accepted or been happy with in this game, and would have been such a huge asshole move. And we know that they weren't going to pull that anyway. So they decided to do this instead. And it really worked on me the first time, but the second time I thought this was cheap. And to a certain degree, so emotionally manipulative, it makes me angry. And it makes me angry because it's so effective. And even now, I still like how this scene is done. Even though it's so stupid, it doesn't make any sense. Her powers just stopped working. And then they start working, and then they stop working, and then they start working. And then she does like 9 things in a row with her power and saves her. Like, what are her powers? A fucking flashlight with a dying battery, and you just gotta a few times and then suddenly it kicks in? It just doesn't, this to me is such a fundamental breaking of the rules just for the sake of drama. And that's the thing that ultimately pisses me off. It's very well dramatically presented, but it's literally just yanking the entire fandom's chain so that you'll take a big sigh of relief when Chloe's not dead. And then maybe you will confuse that for genuine happiness. And it just kind of works. And I hate that. It is, to me, the most contentious scene in the whole game, and one that has rightfully sparked a lot of discourse, and one that, to me, is emblematic of Deck 9's constant addiction to choosing the drama and the dramatic presentation and the ooh-ah visual look over story, sense, characterization, or internal logic. And I enjoyed this game a lot, but this scene really brings it home in terms of thank you for everything you did do that we loved, Deck 9, but we have also been sated by the meals that you have given us. And, you know, there's a lot more McDonald's in there than I think we were happy with. So as the entire campus burns down, we get this montage set to the song Embers in the Sky. It's a really beautiful song, as are a lot of the songs in this game. Also, the copyright-free version, Through the Middle by Tessa Rose Jackson, is equally great. I am honestly 50-50 about which version I like more.
Somehow it slips past. You can't trust an hourglass. I was banking on forever. But forever was a lie. Show me where the bullet hit you. Show me where the poison burned.
It continues to blow my mind that this game has such excellent fill-ins for the disabled copyright music that it makes me genuinely unsure which version I like more. That's incredible. There are also several key differences in this montage depending on who lived or died. If Loretta lived, she'll be there with Reggie. If she died, Reggie will be there alone. If Noelle died, you will see her badge here. If Loretta died, you will see her podcast mic. If Owen died, you will see the building that he perished in. And if Vin died, you will see his name tag. If Safi died, Max, Chloe, and Moses will be at the Outlook by themselves. But if Safi lived, she will also have this moment with her mother.
Sophia. There's no relief for good behavior. The thought alone is maddening.
Why Safi chooses to stand with her mother is so absolutely beyond me, considering we've now found out that her mother was the villain for both of these games, and also nothing has changed between Safi finding out about her mother covering up this murder and now. But I digress.
How I'd do anything to be her again. Oh, it feels like I've been cut right through the middle. Could it be I've been running out of...
The next scene opens with a memorial at the Snapping Turtle, which is led by Yasmin, which, again, is absolutely beyond me. And the weird, soft, poetic way they have her deliver it is weird. Like it's meant to be sympathetic towards her. Suddenly we're cool with her again. Why? I absolutely don't know. Also, what happened to the part where she was going to turn herself in? If she's going to turn herself in, why is she now seemingly the head of the school again? What the fuck? I don't understand.
Caledon is a name we put to an ideal. One which demands the best of us. I, have fallen terribly short.
This is also when you immediately get to find out who lived and who died. And in playing this game for the very first time, going in blind, not knowing anything, I was astonished to find that both Owen and Vin died in my playthrough. And I never would have thought that a big character like Vin could die. I was honestly gagged. And then I was really happy because I could actually see huge consequences to my actions. There are so many variations of who can live and who can die. But in my 3 playthroughs, it went like this. First playthrough, not knowing anything. Owen and Vin died, everybody else lived. Which means I successfully saved Noelle, Jeanette, Loretta, the poetry student, as well as a bunch of other unnamed students by turning the sprinklers on. In my second playthrough, I intentionally got everyone killed, and here's what that looks like. Also, it is a travesty there is no PlayStation, Steam, or Xbox trophy for killing everybody, because I really think there should be. There's one for saving everybody. This is a fun version, let me tell you. It's because it's also not easy to get. You have to actually work the game. I also think it would have been smart just to make killing everybody a trophy, because it would incentivize people to play the game 2 or even 3 times. And finally, in my third playthrough, I saved everybody. And if you save everybody, instead of a memorial wall, there will be a wall of heroes. And it's you and the janitor and, of course, Noelle. Although, I had a real freak out when something completely unexpected happened here, because my entire playthrough was all about saving every single person so that I could get to this wall of heroes, which I had seen other people show online. So imagine my surprise and upset when I get to this scene after playing through the whole game for a 3rd damn time, and I see this. I immediately start freaking out and I go, what is this? I haven't seen this variant anywhere. I went to Reddit and I made a post about it and nobody knew. Nobody had gotten this variant. And I was like, what the fuck did I do wrong? And I had to manually go back and retrace my steps and figure it out. And you know what it was? Just because you saved every named character doesn't mean that you saved every character, because in my 3rd playthrough, I saved all of the named characters, but I forgot to turn on the sprinklers inside the janitor's office. The 3 shutoff valves that you have to activate are mandatory and baked into the plot. The sprinklers, it turns out, are optional, and I guess I forgot that, or I just didn't really know. So I also had to go back and replay my 3rd playthrough from the point of the janitor's closet to get this version. So I guess I technically had to do the ending 4 times to get this. And now I'm absolutely delighted and thankful that happened, because I unlocked a new variant that other people weren't even familiar with. Let me know in the comments if you happen to get this variant, because I significantly doubt it. The narrowness of having to save every main character, which you probably won't do on your first playthrough, but also failing to turn on the sprinklers, chances of that are extremely low. And again, I am impressed. This is a rare ass variant that only happens when a cross section of things you're trying to do right go wrong. And I straight up cannot think of another example, not in Before the Storm or True Colors or Double Exposure, where something like this happened. And it continues to be a weird ass mix of heartening as well as frustrating, knowing the things that they've done in this game, but also that this is the last one, and also that they just didn't step up and do this kind of stuff earlier. It has been such a bittersweet experience reviewing this video, and I also want to thank you for your patience because it has certainly taken more time than I expected. There is so much to go over here because there are so many variations, and I did have to play the game 3 times, and I did have to go back and do at least 6 or 7 rounds of pickups to get all of the different footage for all the different versions, because I also just continued to learn about new split-offs and variations while I was making this review. And as time-consuming as that is, I'm so glad that happened because it has allowed me to create the most fully well-rounded review that I can. And overall, it has led to a much more positive impression of this game than I initially thought I held when I started editing, if that makes sense. Overall, I would say that I had a good time, and overall, there is so much to appreciate here, and it no doubt blows Double Exposure out of the water. There's still a lot of issues with it, but since they already dragged up that corpse of Max by doing Double Exposure, since they already brought that skeleton out of the closet, this is a pretty good send-off for putting the skeleton back in the closet, I suppose, for the characters that started this whole damn thing. So players as Max can have optional conversations with all of the remaining survivors at the Snapping Turtle. But there's really just one conversation that I want to focus on because it's a big one, but not for the right reasons. And that's this one that only happens if you decide to listen to Loretta's podcast. If you go down by the water and listen to Loretta's podcast, only when the podcast is finished, Max will get a cell phone call from Diamond?
Hey, Max. I know I've been mostly ducking you since I left Caledon, but I heard about the fire. I'm so sorry.
You know, Reunion came so close to avoiding one of the huge mistakes that Double Exposure made, and that's deciding to end the game with some kind of weird tease for future related content.
What's going on with you?
I'm almost ready to talk about it. And when I am, you'll be my first call. I promise.
And again, ending on a note with Diamond. Double Exposure had this whole post-credit scene that was like, what? Diamond has powers. Stay tuned to find out more. And then they scrapped all of that because people absolutely hated Double Exposure. And again, from the data mined content, we know that this game was originally going to star Diamond. So when they pivoted away from that, it really makes you question why they still included this weird scene at the end where Max talks to Diamond, and Diamond's dialogue seems to infer that we're going to see a future story about her. And I do not want to see a future story about her. I don't want to see a future story from any of the characters in Double Exposure or Reunion. It is officially time to let the Caledon years rest. I really hope that the successes of Reunion, as well as the likely forthcoming success of the Life is Strange TV series, will lead to new and meaningful directions for the games, but I don't want another game with Diamond. I never want to see Caledon again. We have really had our fill. So I just don't get why they decided to randomly throw in this Diamond phone call. Maybe out of some weird obligation with the actor where, that poor actor, she probably thought she was going to get a whole game to herself, and then they cut that. So I don't know, maybe this is just them throwing her a bone, fulfilling some kind of contractual obligation to include her. Who knows? Max reconvenes with Safi and Chloe. She asks Safi about her mother, and Safi says this absolute cop-out of a line.
My mother is good in a crisis, especially the one she created. I wish she had told me what happened when she was in Abraxas. It doesn't excuse anything, but helps me begin to understand her.
Sure, Jan.
Safi also remarks that she's going to stick around for a while, so I guess she's getting her life back on track. Good for her. and then Max and Chloe leave. Our final scene opens the same way the first one did, with Chloe trying to get her fuck ass of a band to get their shit together. Honestly, I feel bad that she has to put up with them. There's a kind of running subplot through this game that she loves her band, but they are so disorganized and they are often making her look bad when she is trying her best, which I also think is a glorious level of irony considering this is Chloe Price and now she is living out this role reversal. I just think that's really funny and also a good progress of her character. But anyways, Chloe is trying to deal with getting her band on stage on time when Max comes in doing the worst impression of a British person you've ever heard.
Oi, they better be in love or it's the right mess for you.
Did I fool you? Be honest.
Max is so adorable when she's being absolutely crap at something. That's just the charm of her, you know? She's just that charming. Max snaps a photo of Chloe and then she goes to set up her tripod at the show. Chloe sits down and she reads a letter given to her by Moses, and the letter includes Max's selfie. Essentially, he says that he couldn't bring himself to do anything with the photo, so he's leaving it in Chloe's hands. And now players are given the final choice. Do you burn the photo or do you give the photo to Max? And there are actually 3 variations of how this can go. Although the third variant only appears after the credits. It's weird, I know. But no matter what, 3 things will happen once you make this choice. Max and Chloe will talk. Then the game plays a montage of Max and Chloe and other side characters that have appeared throughout the games they've both been in. And then there is a slideshow. No, I'm not kidding. There is a post-credit slideshow. Yeah. So, going through all 3 of those. If you burn the photo, Chloe will whip out her lighter and set the Polaroid on fire. Then Max will come in and she'll ask why Chloe is upset and they'll have this touching conversation.
I just want you to know that I'm not taking any of this for granted. You, us, this timeline, I'm going to fight for it, no matter what.
Right now, I don't want to think about the future or the past. I just want to be here with you, capturing every moment.
And then walk off into the light, and this montage will start playing. And this montage is the same no matter what choice you make. And I completely get what they were going for, but me personally, I don't think it's a great montage. It has too many random clips, it has too many clips that are not emotionally motivated, and it also just has a couple too many clips from double exposure when really I feel the purpose of this montage should be this is the conclusion of Max and Chloe's story, whereas the montage feels a little bit more like here's every game that Max and or Chloe has been in and a send off to that, which again just makes the montage feel a little too random. The montage song they play is beautiful. It's called Let It Happen, Let It Go by Adam Marcus.
Whatever comes, just remember that I tried.
However, if you're using the disable copyright music feature, instead it'll play I Just Wanna Feel by Tessa Rose Jackson, which also appeared during Max's first moment of reflection. Potentially hot take, but I think I actually like this Tessa Rose Jackson song better. When I played the game for the very first time, I got the Adam Marcus song, and I had really mixed feelings about this montage. But when I played the game for a second time, and it played I Just Wanna Feel by Tessa Rose Jackson, I did feel a little bit more.
Something's gotta give, I know. I've been pulling strings for too long. Bright ideas are lit to fade.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Adam Marcus version. They are both beautiful, but again, we have 2 versions and both are not just valid, they're both really strong, and that is for sure impressive. But what's significantly less impressive is after this montage, you'll get the choice cards and everything, and the credits, so the game is over. And then, after all the credits and everything, you get a slideshow? And the slideshow is different depending on your choices. If you choose to burn the photo, you will get a slideshow of Max and Chloe returning to Arcadia Bay. In a way that kind of makes me happy, but also putting it in a fucking slideshow with these photos that they do not look good. They don't look right. They don't even look like the art style of this game. If you choose to tell Max about the photo, the two of them will have a very large emotional conversation.
Just promise me you'll always find me. Maybe not me, but some version of me. Promise me she gets to be with you if I don't.
Concluding with Max stating that what she's really focused on is Chloe and the two of them, although she does give this long, lingering look to the photo as the two of them walk away. And again, the montage will be the same, but here's where things differ. Depending on whether or not you saved everyone, this slideshow, which happens after the end of the game, will be different. If you only saved some people, you'll see all these different photos of Chloe and Max together, and then the next shot is of Chloe on her bed crying because Max has left her alone because she went back in time, which not only, in my opinion, is not how the time travel works, but such a stupid, unfair gut punch to fucking throw at the player once the game is over in a slideshow, and then it just ends there. I got this version of my first playthrough and I didn't even register what happened. I was talking about it with people online and I was like, guys, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but from the way that those photos looked at the end, it almost looked like Max left Chloe? And other people stepped in and said, yes, that is what happened. Max took that photo and she went back in time, which leaves Chloe crying, which... Why? Why is that? Why? And in a slideshow, they took a shit ton of plot of the actual ending of this game and stuck it in 2 or 3 photos after the credits roll. Again, Reunion came so close to not repeating the mistakes of Double Exposure. But then they do a post-credit scene, and it's not even a real scene like in the last game. It's just photos. Also, especially after that fake out almost death at the end of this game, this is how you're gonna truly choose to end it? Whack. And finally, the third variant is, if you really did save everybody, that conversation between Max and Chloe will play out the same and the two of them will walk off into the distance and the montage will be the same. The montage never changes. But in the post-credit slideshow, you'll see Max pick up the photo and then hold a lighter next to it. Yeah, they couldn't even get the time or budget to have a photo actually showing her burning it. So it just literally the whole game just ends on her holding a lighter next to it. And then they just hope that you understand what it's implying. It's just, they came so close, y'all. They came so close to sticking the landing, but they just couldn't help themselves. And that is the note that I'm going to end this review on, because that is just very emblematic of Deck 9. They come so close sometimes, but they cannot help themselves and they just get in their own way when they really don't need to. Overall, I really enjoyed this game, but motherfucker, that slideshow, ooh. I really wish it wasn't there, because otherwise I really enjoy the presentation of that ending. Despite its notable imperfections, Life is Strange Reunion represents a significantly meaningful improvement over Double Exposure, and that alone deserves praise. The game may not shine as brightly as the series' strongest entries, but it does still capture that sentimental charm and tenderness that the franchise is known for. What it lacks in scope, it makes up for with its heartfelt tribute to its most beloved characters, the characters that started it all. And while the story and setting may be less than impressive, Reunion delivers a far more consistent and tonally focused narrative than its predecessor, something that deserves recognition in an increasingly bleak video game landscape. How this game will be ultimately viewed with time, however, remains very unclear. Whether Reunion will be remembered fondly years from now, after the dust has settled and several new entries have come and gone, is impossible to say. But for now, it stands as a welcome course correction for a series that somewhere along the way just lost a little bit of what made it so special. And despite its shortcomings, I found myself enjoying Reunion far more often than I was frustrated by it. And for a series I've spent so many years caring about, I'm grateful that's the note I'm left on. Thank you so much for joining me in this review of Life is Strange Reunion. I also want to thank you for your patience on this one. This one took a lot longer than I thought it would, but I am also very happy about that because it allowed me to pour my full heart and soul into it. I haven't made a video this long in a long time. I haven't needed to, but this is one of those projects. I just had so many thoughts and so many feelings, and I also do understand there was a certain level of anticipation over this one, and I truly did hope that I delivered. I had an enormously fun time making this one. I hope I communicated that through the edit too. This one made me feel reinvigorated, especially because I never thought we'd get another Life is Strange game. So goddamn was it fun to talk about it. And I cannot wait to talk about the Life is Strange TV show when that comes out. However, that is a long ways away, and before then, we're going to be discussing a bunch of other games. I recently put up a poll on my channel asking which game you would like to see next, and my next full-scale review is going to be for Dispatch, so you have that to look forward to. Thank you again to Into the AM Clothing for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check out that link in my description. I really look forward to putting out my next review, but before then, I hope you have some fun, I hope you get some rest, and I will see you all very soon.